Hey guys, DJMK here, and welcome to another episode of Cinderella Phenomenon. Possibly the last one, but I doubt it. I think this will be the penultimate episode. In the last couple episodes, we've covered Waltz's good and bad routes, and it seems like the further along we've been going, the casualties seem to be getting bigger and bigger, but so has Lucette's metamorphosis as she's realized the true nature of Queen Hildyr's nature and her regime. So I kind of wonder if like in the other endings with Evermore, she will come to more revelations as to what the Tenebrarum truly is. But we came to one of the biggest decisions of all in this game, which was the fact that, she basically, she with the assistance of Parfait, basically eliminated magic for good. And for this one, we could get the opposite ending, where we still have magic around, but we just may have to take out Hildyr herself. So, today, I'm going to be doing this level with a bit of an epic twist, where this time, I'm going to do this game without the corner indicator telling me what decision I've made. So, in other words, I'm only going off the clue that's in the first section of a blog called Ultimate Dream World. Special thanks to them for doing this little bit of a walkthrough. And thankfully they did it smartly enough that I didn't get spoiled for anything. So it says that if you only want tips for this route, do not look below, and here's a few tips. Be confident, be trusting that there is one time where there is a time where you'll have to not listen to Waltz, and be the most selfless person you can be in this route. So, because there is a bonus badge on Steam where if you manage to get the route perfectly correct without any hints, you get another badge. So I could possibly win 2 or 3 badges with this route. So I'm only going to give myself 2 shots. So, obviously, the first shot, it will just be bad end. Like, bad end is pretty much guaranteed at that point. The second run will be when I genuinely go for the good end based on where I went wrong. And then, if that one ends up being a wash, then I'll cave, like, the last 2 entries and actually go for the good end, my traditional method. So without further ado, let's go ahead and set this up. So in terms of the gallery, I actually have almost every single one of these images. I only have 2 miscellaneous shots and 4 dream sequences left. So the last 4 will no doubt come into play with Waltz's route. And what's interesting is that with the exception of this shot here with Queen Hildyr in the Tenebrarum, pretty much every single shot has been, or with this one with Lucette in the very beginning, pretty much every single shot has involved karma, which is pretty interesting. So without further ado, let me go under the settings, and we will disable the right choice indicator. So here we go. So with only 3 clues under my lap, which is be confident, be trusting, be the most selfless person you could be in this route. Without further ado, let us go on to the final route that is Waltz's route. The magician who has the Peter Pan curse, former protege of Queen Hildyr, and the person and the witch that almost single-handedly stopped the Great War 4 years before. Let's get into it. Chapter 3, Peter Pan. I decide I can't waste any more time. The next day I search for Waltz as soon as the broom stops dragging me around. I swear he was just here a while ago. Anise, have you seen Waltz? Oh, I just saw him walk back inside. I find him talking with Parfait and Delora in the reception area. All of them are speaking in solemn whispers. It feels really weird that all three of them are here now, considering all the other endings that we've experienced so far. As soon as Parfait and Delora notice me, they break off their conversation with Waltz. Both the witch and the fairy step away from Waltz. Excuse us, princess. I watch curiously as Delora and Parfait leave the room without another word to me. What were they talking about? Waltz turns in my direction and smiles. Morning, princess. I turn toward Waltz and watch as he begins to put some puppets on the table into a box. Are these toys yours? These? They're for a show I'm doing later. I wouldn't be playing with these things at my age. You look 12. I do not see how that is too old to be playing with dolls. Oh, Lucette, you're completely clueless. I told you before, didn't I? I have the Neverland curse. He never explained what this curse was. I'm actually older than you are. I find that hard to believe. You don't know the story of Peter Pan, do you? It's not my fault that Mother had all the fairy tales removed from the palace. When I do not answer, Waltz only sighs and gives me a small smile. I'll assume that's a yes. Peter Pan is a boy who lives in Neverland. It's a place where no one ever grows up. I'm stuck in a child's body as a result of my curse. I won't revert to my real form until my curse is broken. Then, how old are you really? I'm 22 this year. What? I can only stare in shock at Waltz's childish appearance. That means he was only 18. Dang. I mean, if he fought back against Hildyr at that young of an age, then that's in the very beginning. That means he must have been really powerful if he almost single-handedly stopped Hildyr. That's pretty cool. And he's not a Tyrant bearer either, so wow. I can only stare in shock at Waltz's childish appearance. It's hard to believe that he's actually older than I am. I've never liked being treated as a child. That's never changed. Even when I was a child, I didn't like it. But wow. Yeah, it's kind of funny that it's like the opposite for him. It's like the reverse order. Like before, like, even as a child, he just wasn't used to being treated like a child, and then now, like his curse basically experienced the opposite, always being treated like a child. That's interesting. But let me assure you that it's much more annoying being treated like a child by someone who's younger than you. Waltz straightens with the box in his arms. Now, my princess will excuse me. He turns to leave. Where are you going? I have a show to do today. Waltz does so many puppet and magic shows. How will he help me break my curse if he's never around? I'll go with you. What? I might accomplish a good deed if I come to one of your shows. That's true, but... Waltz sighs. I'm not sure it's a good idea. There are bad witches out there. Oh? There's an evil witch right here in the Marchen, but no one is protecting me from her. Are you talking about Delora? Who else would I be referring to? She is a little devious, I'm not gonna lie. Waltz stares at me for a long moment, eyes thoughtful. He sets the box down on the table again. Don't go anywhere. I'll ask Lady Parfait first. He leaves the room. I lean over the box on the table and see a pile of carefully detailed puppets. Everything looks handmade. I used to sew my own puppets before Mother found out and forbade me from making them. Dang, like, the more I'm learning about, like, Lucette's mom, the more and more I'm actually hating her and glad that she gets eliminated. Like, man. Like, she must have been a buzzkill at parties. She told me that sewing was not something a crown princess should do. Interested? Waltz's footsteps are so soft that I do not even notice that he has returned from the room until I'm seeing him standing before me. I step away from the box. How does he move so quietly? Permission granted. Come on, the show starts in an hour. I watch as Waltz sets up a small booth on the street where I first seen him with Emmeline. Back then, I never thought I would see him again. It's nice to see you actively trying to break your curse. I shrug. I'm not convinced this will work, but Parfait said that if I partnered up with someone, I might be able to break my curse faster. So you chose to partner with me? His tone of voice startles me. He sounds both happy and sad. Was he lying when he said he wanted to help me? That everyone in the marching was willing to help me? Would you rather I pick someone else? No! I jump at his sudden reaction. Waltz awkwardly clears his voice. No, I'll do everything I can to help you. Waltz heads back for the back of the booth. I begin to follow him, but I'm forced to stop when he holds out his hand. You haven't had enough training to be my personal assistant yet, princess. What? I stare at him, puzzled. I never said I wanted to be your personal assistant. And training? Why would one need training to assist with a children's show? You might just be able to snag a good deed if you agree to become my assistant, you know. There is a teasing twinkle in Waltz's eyes as he waves me off. But until you're ready, you should just stay with the children and watch the show. I think you enjoyed the story. I recommend getting a place up front. You'll be able to see all the action that way. When I do not move, Waltz sighs and smiles at me. I promise the children won't bite you unless you bite them first. Ah! That's too funny. Oh my gosh. Fine. That's my star. This is too funny. Star? Oh, Lucette. Yeah, well, it's French for like light. So, start. He disappears around the back, leaving me alone. In no time at all, people begin to gather. Soon there is an impressive audience around Waltz's small booth. I look at the group of children that are clustered as close as possible to the front. They're all clearly excited for the show to start. I used to do puppet shows with my dolls too. I felt less alone when I pretended my dolls could talk. And I'm still alone. Nothing has changed. I sigh as I sidestep to allow someone else to stand beside me. I'm surprised to see that this person is an adult. I look around at the gathering crowd of people and find that there is an almost equal ratio of children and adults. Why would adults be at something as childish as a puppet show? Hello, everyone! An excited silence falls over the area as Waltz's voice rises above the crowd. I, Waltz, am here once again to share another story with you. Just like I'm sharing a story with you. I hope you enjoyed the show. Once upon a time, there was a village whose people were always happy. But one day, an evil witch found the village. The evil witch carried darkness deep in her heart. She was jealous of the townsfolk, who were filled with so much light and happiness. If I cannot be happy, the evil witch said, then no one can be happy. How overly dramatic. I almost jump when I feel a tug on my dress. I look down to see a little boy pulling at the hem of my skirt through his eyes remain focused on the puppets. I don't like her. That witch, she's bad. His grip on my skirt tightens. He's wrinkling my dress. Alright, I'm running out of save spaces. So, I'm gonna save over Chevalier's route, because Chevalier's route, it went for a while, not gonna lie. Or maybe Raud's route. Actually, I'll save over this route, so let's do that. Alright. You know what? Just let him be. Remember, be confident, be trusting, and be the most selfless person you can be in this route. So in this first instance, let's leave him alone. Well, it's better finish this show before this child ruins my dress. Darkness spread over the village. The people began to suffer. They forgot what happiness felt like. One villager decided to leave and find a good witch that would help save everyone from the evil witch. This villager knew that it would be very dangerous, for if he were discovered, the evil witch would certainly kill him and his family. Why am I thinking it's like an autobiographical thing? Anyway. But the man knew he had to try if he ever wanted to see the other villagers smile again. Many days later, the man finally returned with the good witch, whose heart was filled with light as the evil witch's was filled with darkness. The good witch, unable to bear the sight of the villagers suffering, decided to help them. She cast a powerful spell that would send the evil witch away and save the village, at the cost of her own life. Once the spell was cast, the darkness disappeared from the village. To this day, the people of the village are said to carry the good witch's light within them, and everyone lived happily ever after. But aren't all witches evil? That's simply not true. I've met a good witch, one with a heart more light and loving than any fairies. More of the children begin to ask questions. I sigh, unable to do anything except wait while Waltz is bombarded with questions. Once the audience finally leaves, Waltz comes out from behind the booth and smiles up at me. The show was a success. I suppose so. You looked really annoyed when that little boy grabbed your dress. That's because I was. You should have taken his hand. Why? He looked frightened. I'm sure he would have appreciated some comfort. Okay, so that's a clue right there. So, gotta redo that. Going back. So, actually, leaving him alone wouldn't do it. That was actually being cruel. So, removing his hand would have been the correct answer. So, let's go with that. I reached down to pry the boy's hand off my skirt, but the boy moves faster than me. The moment I pull his hand away, he quickly refastens his grip. This time, around my hand. Hey! The boy does not move his hand. In fact, his hold only tightens, so much so that I find it impossible to pull my hand away. There is no way I can make him let go without causing a scene. Now I'm going to be stuck holding the hand of a little boy I do not know until the end of the show. How did this happen? Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. Go back a little. Unable to do... Wait, well, it's bombarded with questions. And here we go. New dialogue. Thank you. The boy that took my hand gives it one last squeeze before running off to join his friends. That's the problem with the text. It seems too... It's a little too neutral. So I can't tell which move is supposed to be the correct one. Because I thought leaving me alone to grip my skirt was the correct thing to do. Based on Lucette's behavior. But then based on the boy's behavior, gripping his hand was the correct thing. But it said remove the boy's hand. So it made me think I was being rude. So he basically needed interaction. Yeah, the problem is it's just too subtle for me to figure that out. That's the one pitfall of this game, is that, like, the text is too subtle for me to figure that stuff out. I don't mind subtlety, but when it's too subtle to be able to figure it out, that's the problem. So already I'm struggling, but I'm gonna do my best. What did he thank me for? Once the audience finally leaves, the Waltz comes out from behind the booth and smiles up at me. The show was a success. Princess? There was a boy. He thanked me even though I did nothing for him. The little boy who was with you? But you did do something. You held his hand. I did not want to. I realized that when I saw the annoyed look on your face. It would have been good of you to do it if you meant him to call him down. What? The boy was really frightened by the evil witch in the show. He thanked you because you held his hand and stayed with him when he was scared. Sometimes just having someone beside you when you're afraid is enough. Having someone beside you? I think back on all the times I felt scared. Mother always told me to hide my fear and to never cry because it made me appear weak. I could never ask her for help. And the king was never there for me. Every time I was afraid, I was always alone. I shake off the memories and realize that Waltz is asking me a question. What did you think of the show? It was short and simple. That's it? I created the entire show, you know. Story, characters, everything. It could have been better. You wound me. I have nothing more to say, and Waltz seems disheartened by my silence. You always complimented my stories, even if when they were silly. Waltz? Telling me stories? I do not recall such a thing. He makes it sound as if we know each other for a long time. Before I can ask him for clarification, he changed the topic. I'm not surprised that Hildyr erased memories of Waltz, considering that he betrayed her in the first place. That's interesting. So that means they knew each other for a lot longer. But anyway. Do you mind accompanying me to the toy shop before we head back? Do we have a choice? Waltz's lips quirk with a smile as he picks up his materials. You might have fun, princess. Come on. This is the shop I went to before I was cursed. Feel free to look around, princess. It won't be too long. I nod at him before walking over to the doll display. The dolls here are actually beautiful. But with the gold I have left, I wouldn't be able to afford even one. I miss my dolls. Papa! I want that one! The sound of a little girl's voice draws my attention. I look around the store before spotting a little girl pointing at a big teddy bear. She waits expectantly at the man beside her. That must be her father. The man shakes his head, his eyes filled with regret. We can't afford that one, dear. Could you choose something else? The girl looks like she's on the verge of bawling. I back away, fearing that the child might throw a tantrum. Instead, she rubs at her eyes before looking up at her father with a slow smile. I understand. The man smiles and pats her head. Thank you for understanding, sweetheart. You're being so grown up. I only need you and Mama to be happy. I love you, Papa. I love you too. The king has never once told me that he loved me. He must be better off without me. Do I even belong to the palace anymore? Hold on. Papa, look! The king! The moment I hear her say his title, I quickly rush from the toy shop. Hail the king! Long live the king! Hail King Gennaro! He's the first one I see, mounted on his favorite white stallion as he waves at everyone. I spot Ophelia, Rod, and Emmeline with him, mimicking his motions. The king used to invite me to join him before, but I always declined. He always went out alone. Once a month, the king sends out to check on the conditions of the kingdom in person. It is his way of bonding with the townsfolk. The Order of Caldera trails behind the royal family with Cyril Castor at the head, but there is one particular person that is missing. It is strange that Fritz isn't here. The parade is an impressive sight. The crowds lining the streets became denser with each passing second. I weave around the mess of people in an attempt to get closer to the king. Thank you, everyone. He's smiling. A true smile. I've never seen him smile like that at me. A heaviness begins to weigh down on my heart. Suddenly, it becomes harder to breathe. Please look this way. Please look at me. The king is looking happier these days, isn't he? I don't think I've ever seen him so joyful. It must be his family. Happier? All I want is for the king to look at me. To see me. But he does not so much as glance my way once. I stare at the ground with bleary eyes. He's happy without me. I return to the toy shop with a heavy heart. The little girl from earlier is standing with her father by the door. He ruffles her hair before holding his hand out to her with a smile. She takes it with a giggle, and the two walk off together. A hot ache sings through my blood as I watch them leave. Is this jealousy? I reach out and clutch my chest. My heartbeats feel painful. Is this a terrible feeling? Princess? Lucette? I stare at Waltz, temporarily stunned by the fact that he's called me by my name and not my title. Are you okay? Despite myself, I find my eyes drawn back to the little girl and her father as they stand out just outside the door to the toy shop. Princess? Okay. Oof. This is tricky. Okay, number 2. So it says, to be confident, be trusting, though there's a time you would have to not listen to Waltz. So be trusting. So in other words, be honest with your feelings and say, I'm not okay. So let's try that. It's not like there's anything you can do to make me feel better. Waltz's expression slips. His chest heaves with a silent sigh. All I can do right now is try. Waltz's voice is a soft whisper, but I still pick up those words. All I can do right now? What is he talking about? Waltz's gaze moves to the set of teddy bears displayed on one of the shelves. He is quiet for a few moments before he speaks. He's affected by the curse. What? The king. He can't remember you because of the curse. That doesn't mean he never cared about you. That's the reason why you look so down, right? I was looking outside. I saw the way you looked at him. Doesn't he know that it's rude to stare? Oh? And how did I look? Hurt. I turned away before Waltz could see the frustration on my face. He loves you, you know. More than you'll ever know. And how would you know that? You don't know him at all. Everyone has their own ways of expressing their love. I'm sure he has his own ways. But not being there when I needed him, he's never acted like a father to me. Princess, don't pretend to know what my life at the palace was like, Waltz. This conversation is over. Let's return to the march-in. I think I picked the right decision because that got even deeper. It looks like Waltz is referencing his past with Hildyr indirectly, and I think he's realizing now that her memory was wiped of that period. Okay. Oh, here we go. Dream sequence. Look what I drew. Lucette, you know you're not meant to be in here. But I drew this picture of us. See? That's Mother and me. And you're holding Mother's hand. Go play somewhere else, Lucette. I'm busy. But you're always busy, Father. I just want to... Go to your mother. I'm sure she's looking for you. Okay. Jeez, wow. I'm vaguely aware of moonlight in my room when I sit up in my bed, heart beating painfully fast. What was I dreaming about? It felt like I was dreaming about the king, but why now? A few days have already passed since I saw him. I fell back onto the bed. Hold on one sec. Okay, alright, let's keep going. I fell back onto the bed. I closed my eyes and once again attempt sleep, but it hovers stubbornly out of reach. What was that? Who could be making that noise this time of night? I step out of my bed and head outside to investigate. There's no one here. The sound? It's coming from the tavern. Okay, this is another one that seems to be like most difficult things. So, okay, it says be trusting, be confident, be the most selfish person you can be in this route. So, confidence has different aspects. Confidence has different aspects. There's the confidence to trust that like the building structures are fine and you wouldn't have to look. But then there's the confidence of being able to do actions. So we could check. But which kind of confidence is called for here is the question. I'm going to take a gamble and say check. Let's check. I slowly turn the knob and open the door. Hello? The broom begins to... Sorry. The broom begins to hop toward me. I begin to back away. It's the middle of the night. There's no way I can go into sweep now. But the broom just hops past a cower behind me. That's some broom you got there. Waltz, what are you doing here? I couldn't sleep, so I decided to continue working on some of my puppets. But I accidentally stepped on the broom and it went berserk. I turned around and grabbed Mr. Broom, leaning against his designated spot on the wall. But why are you here? I heard a sound. As curious as always. That's going to get you in trouble, you know. I don't need to be lectured by you. I apologize for waking you up. You should go back to sleep. I would not be here if I could sleep. I might as well stay for a while. If that's what you want. Waltz turns back to his puppets on the table. He leans down over the puppets, checking their seams. Since you're here, I think you can help me. Help you? Aw, that's cute! A chameleon. What do you think of my newest puppet? I look at Waltz with surprise. With his eyes so wide and his lower lip jutting out, he almost looks like a puppy begging for a treat. Is he expecting a compliment on the puppet? Well, I look closely at the puppet's eyes. It looks evil? Really? I'm glad to hear that. It's going to be the villain in my next show. Thank you for the help, Princess. I'm glad that my mentor approves. Mentor? Waltz doesn't answer. That's it? Indeed. I only offered an opinion, but he looks so happy. What a weird person. Waltz resumes his sewing in silence. He is very talented to be able to sew such a complicated animal. He's probably been doing this for a long time to be so skilled. Possibly even longer than I expect, considering the nature of his curse. You look like you got something in your mind, Princess. Well, you've never actually told me how to break your curse. Oh, I guess I haven't. Waltz clears his throat as he goes back to his sewing. I need to find Tinkerbell and Neverland. Oh, right, you don't know the story. Mother burned all the fairy tale books in the palace before I could read most of them. And nobody would tell me any of the stories. Mother always forbid me from talking about them. Peter Pan is the story of a boy who never grows up. He's accompanied by a fairy friend named Tinkerbell, and the two of them live together in Neverland. In my case, Tinkerbell is a key that can open Neverland. Neverland is a box, a family heirloom. My shadow is being kept in Neverland. That shadow is my magic. Once I get it back, my curse will break. Magic? I'm a witch, Princess. He says so nonchalantly, like stating what his job is. He and Delora are the same? I've seen Waltz conjure flowers from thin air before, but I never associated with that with the type of, type of magic that witches can do. You're a witch? A cursed witch? How is that possible? Only the Tenebrarum bearer has the ability to curse another witch. It's why I can only do simple magic nowadays. If I ever want to cast proper spells again, I'm going to need to find Tinkerbell and Neverland. You don't know where Tinkerbell and Neverland are? No, I don't. Does that mean you're stuck in this form forever? How about a story? I feel annoyance begin to simmer inside of me. Why do you do that? You changed the subject purposely to avoid answering me. No, that's not it, Princess. I'm trying to explain, and I think a story is the best way for me to do that. I'm silent as Waltz reaches into his box of puppets. He pulls out two of them, then motions for me to sit in front of him. He holds out a puppet for me to wear, and I could pose a puppet to me, and I could tell the intents for me to wear it on my hand. My feelings of the subject must show on my face, but Waltz is resolute. Please? do not know what this will achieve. But maybe this way I'll finally get some answers. Fine. Let me answer a text really quick. I'll be right back. Fine. Waltz takes a deep breath. Once upon a time, there lived a princess who was always alone. She spent most of her time inside her room as her mother, the queen, forbade her from going out. The princess's only company were her dolls. But the princess so badly wanted friends that she would always sneak out of the palace to play with the children who lived in town. It's as if he's narrating my childhood. How do you... But Waltz continues speaking as if he does not hear me. One day, the princess met a boy. The boy was a few years older than her, and he was the queen's faithful servant. The boy could see how lonely the princess was, and his heart ached for her. They became friends. Every day he would sneak into her room and would play with her. They spent 2 years like that, until the queen found out. The boy was sent away, and he never saw the princess again, until a short while ago. I stumble back as the puppet slides off my hand as I stare at Waltz, my mind whirling. We've known each other for a long time, princess. This cannot be true. Waltz looks at me again, his expression full of melancholy. I always see that look. He wears it even when he is happy. He seems to carry that sadness with him wherever he goes. We were friends. I never have any friends. I would have remembered. That's what you remember. Your memories have holes in them. Gaps you can't explain. How do you know that? Because I was there when the queen ordered that some of your memories be erased. Mother? But why? I don't believe you. I don't believe any of this. I didn't expect you to believe me. Why is he looking at me like that? It looks like he is in pain, but he cannot be telling the truth. I stand up straight, my hands clenched into fists. I'm going back to my room. I almost run from the tavern area. Waltz does not try to follow me. Oof. Feels bad, man. Waltz's words loop persistently in my mind. We were friends. I sit on one of the chairs in the reception area, trying to put my thoughts in order. There is no way that he was my friend. Oh, what's this? What is it like to run into the princess this hour? Though I must ask, why are you still awake, darling? I jump at the sound of Karma's voice. I turn to look at him. Karma frowns at the expression on my face. You look like you've seen a ghost. I can only stare at him in response. Oh my, is my beauty so captivating you find yourself at a loss for words? No, I was just thinking. About how beautiful I am? His ego knows no bounds. I roll my eyes and change the subject. What are you doing up this late? A nighttime stroll? I found myself filled with ennui. Right. I will go and retire for the night now. Have a good sleep. It'll be another long day tomorrow. You do not have to remind me. You still have a ways to go before you get used to the commoner's lifestyle. I certainly struggle with it. Karma barely works. I don't ever see him slack off. But wait, are you a noble, Karma? Perhaps. 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 This is going nowhere. This tavern is full of secretive people. I wonder if this lifestyle has anything to do with this curse. Well, I'm not planning to get used to this commoner lifestyle. I will break my curse as soon as possible. Seems like we both have a long way to go before that happens, Princess. Ooh, dream sequence. Let me type this up. Sorry, messaging a friend. Anyway. We don't want to play with you anymore. But why? We're friends, are we not? Friends? Who said that? You did. We were friends till you stopped sharing your toys. But that's because you still haven't... What? You haven't returned the toys I gave you. Return them? You gave them to us. No, I did not. Let's go play with our real friends. Yeah, our real friends aren't that selfish. I warned you, dearest one. Didn't I tell you? People will only hurt you in the end. That's why I forbade you from playing with those children. I only ever want what's best for you. I'm sorry, Mother. I'm so sorry. Hush now, dearest one. Mother won't let anyone hurt you anymore. Chapter 4. Family. Oof. Again, feels bad, man. 3 weeks had passed since my encounter with the king. I'm once again in town with Waltz as he prepares for one of his shows. Here, hold on one sec. 3 weeks had passed since my encounter with the king. I'm once again in town with Waltz as he prepares for one of his shows. I've already lost count of how many of his shows I've watched at this point. The excursions have become part of my daily routine. Waltz has been insistent on training me as his assistant, so I've decided to play along. Even now, I'm helping him construct his booth, though he refuses to let me carry anything too heavy. I've experienced so many new things in these past few months. Things I've always wanted to experience, but I've never told anyone about. Somehow Waltz knew all about all of them. Even when he told me that we were childhood friends and insisted that my memories of him had been erased, I hadn't believed him. But now, I'm beginning to believe that he's telling the truth about this forgotten friendship. Waltz smiles at me where he's assembling the front of the booth. You used to dream about getting out of the palace to see Angel, and now you're here. You can't imagine how happy I am that I could finally fulfill all of the promises I made to you. I still have reservations about believing your story, but... Waltz, even if you didn't know me a long time ago, I'm not the same. I hand him the small curtains for the booth, my head dipped so I do not have to look at him in the eyes. I'm not the child that you used to know. I know that. But I also believe that the girl I knew all those years ago, the one who was always so happy over the smallest things, that kind, sincere girl, she's still you. How can that be when I don't think I've ever truly known what happiness feels like? After Waltz hangs the curtains, the booth is complete. I expect him to step out from the side as he always does, but he sets his palms down on the table instead and looks at me. When I saw you again that day, I was so happy. I thought fate had brought you back to me. Waltz's voice is very soft when he speaks. But then, you still didn't recognize me. Waltz's voice trails off, and I frown. There's still so many things he's not telling me. Eventually, Waltz picks up his box of puppets and smiles at me brightly. Anyways, I've got a show to perform. Don't go anywhere. I notice that his smile does not reach his eyes as I watch him walk away. I look out the crowd that has gathered for the show. There are a lot of families here today. I watch as two families approach each other. The adults begin to converse with each other while the kids run up to the front of the crowd to catch a better glimpse of the show. Some of the children have shoes, but their parents are barefoot. Other clothes are dirty and torn. Their lives are clearly hard, but they're still smiling. I've never been in desperate need of clothes or food. I never had to work for anything. I should have been happier than these people when I was a princess. But now, I'm beginning to see that the material things that I had were never enough to buy me true happiness. Hello, everyone! I take a step off to the side as Waltz begins his show. Waltz weaves his stories as seamlessly as he always does, captivating his audience with every word, but I'm not paying attention. My focus is locked on the two families standing near me. When I see these people, I cannot help but wonder, is it me or the dog? I'm sorry, it feels like an SATC reference. I had to do it. But anyway, when I see these people, I cannot help but wonder, what kind of life have I been leading? Waltz's show was a success yet again. He was smiling from ear to ear as he counts the coins he has earned as a reward for his good performance. You look happier than usual. I am. I've been saving money for a special toy and now I can finally buy it. He says he does not like to be treated like a child, but he gets so excited whenever he mentions a new toy. Excuse me. I pause at the sound of laughter and look up to see a group of children talking excitedly to each other as they approach Waltz and I. This might be an opportunity. An opportunity? Making these children happy might be a good deed. What? Waltz ignores me as jobs look to the children. Waltz! The group of children swarm him, talking loudly as they each try to cling to him in some manner. We've been waiting forever for you to come back. But I was here a couple days ago. We didn't have time to play. Can we play now? Please, please, please? You've been good just like you told us. The boy looks around at the group of children and they all nod their heads with eager encouragement. Well, if you've been as good as you say, how could I say no? The children cheer. I'm going to start counting now. Come on! You won't find us this time. The children disperse around the area. I watched them go with disinterest. That's your cue to hide, princess. What? Why do I need to take part in this? You don't want to play? We used to play hide and seek all the time. I'm fairly certain I've never played a game like this with anyone before. Is this another memory that was taken from me? Big sister, play with us. Play with us, Onichan. I'm sorry, I'm a little running from the Kusoge game a little bit. It's like Onichan, onegaishimasu. But yeah, it just got me back to a good mood. A little girl runs up to me and begins to pull me along with her. Hey! I look at Waltz, but he only smiles at me. It seems like I don't really have a choice. Waltz turns to face a wall. He covers his eyes and begins to count. Before I can react, the little girl has let go of me and is running off. What is going on? I turn to see a boy hiding behind a barrel. You have to hide before he finishes counting. They didn't even explain the rules of this game. How is I supposed to know what to do? I look around me to find places I might hide. Maybe behind the tree? Behind the fountain would also work. Or with wooden crates? Which one of these should I hide in? Oof. I don't know. I think this is one of the few decisions that actually doesn't matter too much. So, I think considering her body frame, I would try behind the fountain. Ready or not, here I come. I cannot believe I'm doing this. Found you. No fair. I said it comes to my lips, but I stuffed it before it could escape my mouth. Why am I actually worried about being caught? Boo. Ah! I scream in surprise and Waltz begins to laugh. You should have seen your face. You scared me. It was worth it. Don't do that again. Waltz smiles before reaching out to pat my shoulder. Okay, I won't. Now let's go find the others. I trail along behind Waltz as he methodically checks all the possible hiding places. It isn't long before he finds the rest of the children. You guys have improved. Yeah, but you still found us. No need to look like that. You guys have great hiding spots this time around. In fact, I think this lady here could learn from you. Hey! Right, everyone? That's it. Oh, I should have saved. I can scroll back. You know what? Let me save. The children begin to whine, clearly disappointed. Aww, we only played one round. Don't be like that. I promise to play another game with everyone soon. Now run along. I'm sure your parents are looking for all of you. One of the children, a little girl, tugs on my sleeve. Thank you for playing with us, big sister. Please come again. She smiles up at me before skipping away to join the rest of the children. All the children head off together back toward the residential area of the town. They like you. How do you know that? Did you see how happy they were when you joined in? Children are so easy to please. That's why I envy them. Adults aren't like children. They worry too much and don't appreciate the small joys in life. As we grow up, we forget how to be happy. Forget how to be happy? Waltz may be right about that. When I was younger, my dolls brought me so much joy, but now? Anyway, thanks for putting in the effort to hide. I think you deserve a treat. A treat? You'll like it. I promise. I sit on the wooden bench, waiting for Waltz to return. He said it would be easier for him to go alone because he wanted to surprise me. I did not protest. I've been on my feet all day. I never thought I'd be running around playing with children. I wonder what this treat is going to be. Every time we come to the plaza, it's always packed with people. Most of the popular shops are clustered in this area. I observe the town quietly, before my eyes land on the statue of the king. He looks noble, riding a rearing stallion. The sight makes my heart twist uncomfortably. I'm pulled out of my thoughts when a child trips and falls in front of me. He begins to cry. Should I do something? But before I can react, a man and a woman are there, pulling the child up. The man takes the child in his arm as the woman rubs his back. There, my love. Mama and Papa are here now. I watch they slowly walk away, the mother still crooning to her child. Mother would always get angry at me if I was about to cry. I wonder what it's like to be comforted like that. Sorry to keep you waiting. Are you okay? I keep the family in sight for as long as I can, before returning to Waltz. I'm fine. Here. Candied apple! Whee! What's this? A candied apple. A long time ago I promised I would bring you one, but I wasn't able to keep that promise. I try fulfilling it now. I do not recall such a promise. I twirled the candy, inspecting its glazed and shiny appearance. I only had a candied apple once. It was like an apple pie flavored one. It was actually really good. I liked it. I didn't know you could make an apple look like this. I promise there are no poison apples here. These ones are just sweet. I sniffed at the candy. Sweet. I take a small bite. Well, I became so immersed in my taste test that I do not even hear Waltz. The candied apple tastes like nothing I've ever tried before. This is good. I took another bigger bite. Is that a smile I see, Princess? What? I wasn't smiling at all. Was I? When I get some extra money from my shows, I'll make sure to treat you again. I have lots of favorites to show you. There are more desserts like this? Of course. I'll make sure you try all of them. And so much more. Like Oreos and Lotus Biscoff and ice cream and... One day. Anyway. Waltz stands, then moves over to a trash bin so he can dispose of his finished apple. It's getting late. Let's get back to the march-in. Break! The next few weeks become a blur. Hold on one sec. Okay guys, I'm back. So I wanted to double check to just make sure my sound levels are going okay, especially considering all of the background noise that's happening. I wanted to make sure that the noise from the game itself was kind of covering as much of the background noise as possible, but you could still hear my voice. So I just wanted to double check just to be sure. Let me see. A little bit of a roundabout method I use for my gaming sometimes. If I wanted to hear like voice chat and play a game at the same time, I'll just put my headphones on top of my earbuds, which I know is not exactly the best thing to do, especially if you want to preserve your hearing, but in this case, if you're desperate and you're very jank, different times comes for desperate messers. And it sounds good, so we're going to continue on. Okay. So these are going to become my glorified earphones. So now there's no sound coming through these things. I could just focus more on the sound of the game itself, which is very low for me. But anyway, let's keep going. The next few weeks become a blur. I continued to help out in the tavern while sometimes accompanying Waltz for his shows. Though Waltz continues his lessons on goodness, I've yet to gain a single good deed. I'm slowly starting to lose hope. It's been months since I was cursed, and I still have to complete a single good deed. Today, I've been assigned the task of serving marching customers. I honestly prefer my duties to Mr. Broom. At least I do not have to mingle with all these people. I only just entered the tavern when I freeze at the sight of a familiar face. Fritz? His posture is stiff. His arms are crossed and he's obviously uncomfortable. What is he doing here? How did he get in here? I walked toward him, but did not get far before he's down in front of me, down on one knee with his head bowed. I finally found you, Your Highness. How does he remember me? How did he find me? Fritz? Princess, I have no idea what's happening, but the whole kingdom. Everyone's completely forgotten you, and let us go somewhere else to talk. I interrupt Fritz when I notice all the stairs around the room. Not so fast. Seemingly from nowhere, Jurian and Garland are in front of me, separating me from Fritz. Lady Jurian? Sir Garland? I was told you left Angiel. What are you two doing here? I can ask you the same, Sir Fitzgerald. What are you doing here? Fritz is at a loss for words when he stares at Jurian, confused. Answer the question, Sir Fitzgerald. What are you doing here? I am quickly reaching the end of my patience. Just let me talk to him. Now the Jurian or Garland back down. If anything, only look more like ready to draw their swords. I don't trust him. As I look at the three of them, I remember the story of Jurian and Garland's dismissal from the Order of Caldera. Sir Castor was the one who dismissed them, so that perhaps they hold some type of grudge? Is it because Fritz is Sir Castor's son? I do not know why you do not trust Sir Castor, but Fritz is a completely different person. He is my knight. He will never harm me. We have our reasons for doing this, Princess. I sigh, rubbing it at my forehead with my hand, trying to dispel an impending headache. I swear, you lot are like a bed of snakes. Stop hissing at each other. Delora walks in from behind me, swatting at Jurian and Garland to move them. She smiles at Fritz before turning to beam at the same smile at Jurian and Garland. If you're so concerned, then feel free to chaperone the princess with her knight. I'm sure the two of you can handle it if she tries to do something funny. Fritz's voice is quiet when he speaks. You know I would never hurt her. Fine. I glare at Jurian and Garland when we are in the reception room. Thankfully, they take the hint and retreat to the opposite wall, far enough to give Fritz and I some privacy. Fritz speaks as soon as I sink into a chair. I haven't seen you in 4 months, Princess. It's been that long already? Did you know how worried I was when I woke up one day and realized that Princess Emmeline was in your place? To make things worse, no one remembered you. Not even the king. When I brought up Crown Princess Lucette, everyone thought I was delusional. Where do I even begin? I decided to start with the facts of my curse and how I'm meant to break it. So you have the Cinderella curse, and that's the reason you remain in the margin? Yes. And you need to complete 3 good deeds to break it. That is right. And how many good deeds have you accomplished, if you don't mind me asking? I frown as I shake my head. None. I do not think I'm capable of doing good. Of course you are. I look in surprise at Fritz's impassioned declaration. Let me start with this. I knew even when we first met that I was not what you were expecting. I wouldn't be surprised to know that I even disappointed you. But you never said a word of complaint. Even in the beginning when I made lots of mistakes. And we both know how clumsy I was in the beginning. There's kindness in you, Princess. I know this for a fact. Even when I look away, I can still feel Fritz's eyes and smile directed at me. Anyway, so if everyone else has forgotten who you are, how is it that I can still remember you? There's only one question that makes any sense, though it brings up more questions than answers. Those who have the fairy tale curse are not affected by the conditions of another person's curse. Wait, are you saying that I'm cursed? Unless you're secretly a witch or a fairy. No, I'm definitely human, I can assure you of that. What about Lady Jurian and Sir Garland? Jurian speaks from a corner of the room. Though the knights have been feigning disinterest, there's no doubt they're listening in our conversation. We aren't cursed, so unfortunately we don't remember Princess Lucette being, well, crown princess. We only found out when she came here. I see. So, that still doesn't explain why Jurian and Garland are in the... That doesn't explain why Jurian and Garland are still in there, even though they're not cursed. I guess they were hired as security by Delora and Parfait. That's the only explanation I have for them. But anyway. Fritz's distress is apparent as he looks grimly down at the floor. He hasn't admitted to having the curse, which means either he doesn't know he has it, or refuses to tell me. I can't believe this. How can I have a fairy tale curse and not know about it? Have there been no differences to your life lately? I suppose I've been more forgetful lately. Does that count? You've always been forgetful. I know. Fritz's posture stiffens as Jurian walks towards us from the other end of the room. Her arms are crossed and her gaze directed at Fritz is filled with suspicion. How are you able to find this place? Fritz looks back at me and he's as if asking permission, and I nod. I've been dispatching scouts throughout Angiel to look for the princess ever since she disappeared. A girl matching her description was seen in this area, entering this house. When my scouts entered the place, they found it empty and abandoned. I figured this is a good place as any to start looking for traces of her. So that means there's a glamour place in this place. Only for fairy tale cursed people, or those permitted to go in. So that makes sense. Though I was expecting an empty house, not a tavern full of people. Only those with the curse or certain permitted people such as Jurian and myself can enter this place and see it for what it is. Okay, that makes more sense. So it's a glamour. Okay. So I really am cursed then. Fritz is silent for a few moments as he considered what was just said to him. That does explain a few things, though not as much as I'd like. Fritz stands. I still have many questions to ask, but I'm expected back at the palace. Fritz turns to look at Jurian and Garland. I do not know why the two of you are here, but I'm glad that you are. I know I could trust you to keep the princess safe. Please take care of her. You don't even have to tell us twice. Fritz smiles in reply before turning once more to bow at me. Until we see each other again, princess. A week goes by after Fritz leaves the tavern, and my luck does not change. I'm still unable to complete a single good deed. I want to ask Parfait if she knows anything about Fritz and his curse, but she's been absent from the tavern for more than a week. When I asked Delora why Parfait was missing, all the witch said was that Parfait was busy dealing with the rapid spread of the fairy tale curse. Today, I'm accompanying Waltz to the toy shop to buy materials for his upcoming show. But now I cannot find him. I was by these shelves earlier. Where was he gone? I turn a corner and my gaze is caught once more by the dolls on display. One particular doll catches my eye, and I cannot help but marvel at its beauty. Not bad. If only I had enough money to buy you. I noticed a man sitting just to the right, in front of the teddy bear display at its shelf. Isn't that the father I saw with his daughter a few weeks ago? He's looking at the teddy bear that his daughter wanted, the one he did not have enough money to buy. I watch as he opens one of his clenched hands. There are some gold coins in his palm. I glimpsed into the price tags of the teddy bears earlier, and I'm certain that the man does not have enough money to afford the one he's eyeing. I thought I had saved enough by now. Now what do I get for a birthday? The man heads to the next shelf over. He raises a hand to rub at the back of his neck. I walk over and pick up the bear the man was just looking at. It is very soft and somehow comforting to hold. I can see why the girl liked this one. I begin to move toward the counter without realizing. I hold the teddy bear to me with one hand and reach for the bag of coins with my other. The king gave me this money all those months ago, but I never used it. If I buy this bear, I will be completely broke. Miss? Could you wrap this for me? Of course. After she's finished wrapping the bear, I turn to search for the father. It seems he's no longer in the shop. Has he left? Wow, that's a big toy you got there. Waltz appears with a bright smile on his face. He leans forward to inspect the package I'm holding. I need to find him. Who? I'm sure he hasn't gone too far yet. Hey, wait! Where is he? Princess, where are you going? Yeah, I think the more the merrier. Let's explain what happened. There's someone I need to find. Did you happen to see the man eyeing the large teddy bear earlier? I think I caught a glimpse of him. Why? We need to find that man. I must give this to him. I'm about to run off into the crowd when I feel Waltz's hand on my sleeve. I try to snap impatiently at him, but find my annoyance staring at the expression on his face. Look, I'm not entirely sure what is happening, but I'll help you. But you have to stay with me. We shouldn't be separated in this crowd. Fine. Waltz keeps his pace with me as I almost break into a run. It will be difficult to find that man with all these people around, but we should at least try. Waltz and I search for hours but we never find him. I do not even know his name. We could try again tomorrow. It's going to be dark soon. But it's her birthday. Who? I ignore Waltz. In the brief second I close my eyes, I could see that man's pain expression in my mind. I sit down on the bench and clutch the wrapped bear to my chest. He wanted to buy this bear for his daughter's birthday, because he loves her. A familiar ache flares up in my chest. I've spent my whole life wanting the king to treat me the same way that man treats his daughter. Lucette, I promise you we'll look again first thing in the morning. I don't even know if I made the right decision. But on the other hand, though, that backstory really helped. So, I don't know. I think I made the right one. Waltz and I head back to the March-In, but the weight in my chest slows me down. It's not like you to be this sad for a stranger. You've changed. Have I? Welcome home, Papa? The girl's voice is familiar. I wear on my heels and stare at the little girl in the doorway in one of the homes. I thought we were too late, but we found them! Oh, thank God! Thank God! The girl runs from her home to wrap her arms around her father. He picks her up and pulls her into a tight hug. I'm sorry I'm late, sweetheart. But you're here now. Mama, Papa is here. We can start my birthday party now. The girl wiggles out of her father's embrace and runs back into her house excitedly. The man is carrying a small box in his hand, wrapped neatly with a ribbon. He looks down at his gift and sighs. Before he can go inside the home, I walk toward him and tap him on the shoulder. Excuse me. You were in the toy shop earlier. I was. We've been looking everywhere for you. For me? He looks first at me, then at the package I carry in my arms. Can I help you with something, miss? I heard it was your daughter's birthday today. She's turning 7 today. But why? Here. That's a pretty package. This is for your daughter. This is the toy you wanted to buy for her. Take it. No, I can't possibly. Just take it. The man seems to be too much shocked to reach out for the teddy bear. He shakes his head in wonder. You don't even know who we are. Why would you do something like this? I've been asking myself that all day. You love your daughter very much, don't you? She's my life. She and my wife. But I cannot pay you for this. Papa, why are you taking so long? The girl was suddenly at the door again, her wide eyes staring right at me. Who are you? The little girl clings to her father's legs. She looks curious, but not afraid. I didn't know what to say. This pretty lady here is your favorite godmother, little one. I turned to glare at Waltz. What is he playing at? Fairy godmother? Like the one in Cinderella? I knew she was pulling that. Yes. I shouldn't Waltz another warning look, but he only grins at me. She's come to fulfill your birthday wish. Isn't that right, my lady? You know what? Let's be honest. Let's play along with this. Let's play along. Let's make it a little bit more fun. Because Waltz is playing with this, okay? It is her birthday. I might as well play along. Yes, I am. Really? Waltz nudges me toward the little girl. I glare at him before I kneel down and hold the wrapped teddy bear out to her. What does Waltz usually say to children when he gives them gifts? Oh, you have been a very good girl. This is for you. The girl reaches out and takes the bear. Her eyes light up as she stares at it. Is this the teddy bear? I nod and the little girl squeals, twiddling around with the wrapped teddy bear tight in her arms. Then suddenly she puts the bear down and throws her arms around my neck. Thank you! Thank you for granting my wish, Miss Fairy Godmother! I am too shocked to react. Mama! Mama! Look what my fairy godmother brought me! I can only stare as the little girl runs back into her house with the gift. Thank you. I glanced at the man who, much to my surprise, has tears running down his cheeks. He's still somehow smiling through them. I will never forget your kindness. He dips to a short bow, then disappears into his home. Oh! Yay! First good deed! First good deed! This is a piece of the glass slipper. Your first good deed. I stare at disbelief at the hovering piece in my hand. One moment it's there, the next it's been swallowed by a bright light and is joined with my pendant. I cannot believe it. Waltz! Waltz, look! But Waltz is not looking at my new pendant. He's looking at my face, his gaze enraptured. What are you looking at? You just smiled. I did? It's as beautiful as I remember. I feel slightly embarrassed and no words to quickly turn my head away. I'm glad that you decided to play along with my story. Yes, that was the right decision. Yes! You made her birthday extra special by making her believe that you were her own fairy godmother. Excuse me. That no matter how tough things are, every child has someone watching over them, so long as they're good. My eyes are still in the slipper when I hear an unfamiliar voice behind us. Cinderella's glass slipper, huh? We both turn around to stare at a man standing a few feet from us. He's cloaked in darkness, but I can still make out his grin. Hello, princess. Oh snap, it's Varg. Chapter 5, to protect. The man starts walking towards us slowly. Waltz moves to stand in front of me. Princess, stay close to me. Good evening, Princess Lucette. And a good evening to you, Peter Pan. The man drops into an elegant bow. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Varg. What do you want, Varg? How do you know where we are? I'd love to stay and chat, but I have more important things to do. The princess is coming with me. Varg takes one long stride toward us. He taps the cane he's holding onto the ground. A surge of light emanates from the cane, then flares out toward us. Princess, go back to the march-in! Hurry! Waltz darts toward Varg before I can stop him. Varg raises his cane and twists it in one sharp movement. The light abruptly changes direction and slams into Waltz's side, throwing him some distance away. Waltz! Before I could step away, Varg has lifted me into his arms. He grins at me almost wolfishly before darting away from Waltz. No! Princess! Let me go! No can do, Princess. I'll let you go and things will get messy. What do you want from me? Are you a... I can't even say the word. My blood runs cold as I consider the situation. Are you a witch? That I am not. And you expect me to believe you? You just used magic back there. I guess I did. Let me go! I squirm in his arms, attempting to kick and push him away from me. Varg abruptly stops with a grunt to let me down. This is my chance. I start to bolt away from him, but he quickly grabs my wrist and pulls me back. Not so fast. Get your hands off of me. I'm not here to hurt you, Princess. After what you did to Waltz... He leans in toward me until he can look me in the eyes. Well, he was in the way. Besides, it's not like I killed him. Varg begins walking again, this time pulling me with him. I try to break away from his iron grip, but fail. Where are you taking me? Back to where you truly belong. If there's one thing I learned from fairy tales, it's that a princess belongs in a palace. Unable to stop the gasp that leaves my lips, he stops and turns to me. You've been away from far too long, Princess. Don't you want to go back? I do want to go home, but I'm not welcome there anymore. At least not while I'm still cursed. Release her! Varg releases me just in time to block a sword strike that comes out of the darkness of the trees. How annoying. I could say the same about you. I back away as the true trade blows. Varg uses his cane to defend himself against the man who just emerged from the trees. That man? He's the one who was with Waltz. The man with the sword that helped save me from the bandits all those months ago? There is something very graceful in the way the man moves as he swings his sword at Varg. He almost looks like he is dancing. The stranger continues swiping the sword, eventually gaining enough leverage to force Varg back. He moves so quickly that it takes all Varg's reflexes simply to block his slashes. They're so fast. Varg takes a few steps back and keeps a safe distance from the stranger. Impressive. The man gives Varg a lopsided smile as he points his sword at him. The two of them temporarily frozen as they each wait for the other to move first. You're not too bad yourself. Wait, is that... Now that he's stopped and I better look at him, I can see that the stranger's features are uncannily similar to Karma's. Karma? But is it really him? Princess, are you okay? I turned my head to see Waltz and Delora rushing toward me. How did you find me? Delora used her magic to track you down. Thankfully no other witches beat us here. Waltz halts in front of me while Delora advances towards the two men. So what do we have here? Delora, right? Can't say that it's a pleasure to meet you. I have to compliment you all. You did an impressive job hiding the princess from us. It took a while to finally track her down. Finding your so-called tavern was difficult, you know? But I got lucky. How does he know about the tavern? No sooner are the words out of Varg's mouth than the swordsman is suddenly upon him again and posed to attack. Varg bucks his sword a second too late and is forced to back away, clutching his now bloody arm. You talk too much. Sorry, I shouldn't have forgotten my manners in front of royalty. Oh, he knows! Varg's gaze turns to Delora, a smirk somehow still on his face despite his injury. You have quite an interesting bunch with you, witch. How about joining us instead? We can always use more witches like yourself. Thanks, but no thanks. Too bad. Varg turns to look at me. He holds out a hand and gestures me toward him. Come with me, princess. You know you don't belong here. I clench my hands into fists as I shake my head. Your mother won't be very happy with her decision, princess, especially after all she's done to make sure you'll be a suitable heir. Mother? What are you talking about? But Varg ignores me as he raises his cane. Sorry to leave the party so quickly, but I'll be back soon enough for you, princess. Next time, whether you like it or not, you'll be coming with me. I'm not done with you. Delora throws her hands out, beginning to gather light in her palms, but Varg has already brought his cane down on the ground. Thick smoke envelops the area, making my eyes water. When the smoke clears, Varg is gone. Delora huffs in annoyance as she lowers her arms back down to her sides. To think those witches are using a human to do their dirty work. What was that cane he was carrying? I look up at the stranger, who has sheathed his sword and is walking toward where Waltz, Delora, and I are standing. It's an enchanted item. That cane has been infused with a spell that allows Varg to use magic. Limited magic, but powerful enough to make it dangerous. Well, it is far easier for a human to explore the kingdom without anyone getting suspicious. The stranger stands close enough to me to get a proper look at his face. I can no longer deny the resemblance I saw earlier. Karma? Is that really you? You have good eyes, darling. So this is what Karma looks like as a man. Why does he need to disguise himself as a woman? I open my mouth to ask the question when I'm interrupted by Waltz's hand on my shoulder. Are you hurt anywhere? I turn to Waltz and freeze where I notice the dry blood on his forehead. You're bleeding! I'll be fine. I step back and realize that Waltz is standing oddly, curving one leg to the other. Varg must have badly hurt him. What do I say? I do say, we have to go back now. I frown as I study Waltz's wound. We have to go back to the Marchen, now. You need to have your wounds checked. This is nothing. I'm just glad you're not hurt. Stop worrying about me. You're the one in need of medical attention. I cannot keep the edge of my voice when I speak. Waltz's expression falls. I'm sorry, princess. I didn't mean to. Waltz's expression suddenly twists as he doubles over, his eyes glazed in pain. Waltz! Delora catches one of Waltz's arms, supporting him as he turns to address both Karma and I. We should return to the Marchen. Rumpel needs to see to Waltz's injuries. Rumpel? I'll explain everything once we're back. Delora calls for Rumpel as soon as we arrive at the Marchen. When Rumpel enters the reception area, he's clearly distraught by Waltz's injuries. What happened? Hail first, explain later. I expect Rumpel to object and I'm surprised when he does nothing more than nod. Carefully, Rumpel leads Waltz back to his room so he can be treated. Delora looks in the direction Rumpel and Waltz have gone with a thoughtful look on her face. We're lucky that we have Rumpel here with us. Ace is good with herbs and small wounds, but Rumpel has experience with more serious injuries. Experience? What are you talking about? Remember his curse? Rumpel is not the only one who doesn't remember who he is. Now the townsfolk remember his name either. But what about those with the curse? Shouldn't they at least still be able to remember his name? Rumpel is an exception to the rule, as is with many things. In this case, not a single person can remember his name. Funny thing is, they can still recognize him. He ran into someone who called him a doctor today. Even just hearing it brought a memory back. He's got one of the chapters of his journal back now. He's quite the proficient doctor. He collects his journal pages for retrieving memories from others that still remember him? What a strange curse. My eyes wander around the reception area, and I notice that someone is missing. Where's Karma? Don't worry about him. He's probably changing now. I do not understand why Karma is so secretive about his reasons for wearing a disguise. I'm about to ask Delora if she knows any of the specifics. Let's get into that time. I'm about to ask Delora if she knows any of the specifics of Karma's curse when the door to the reception area is thrown open. Princess! I'm surprised when Anise suddenly throws her arms around me. She pulls me into a tight hug. I was so worried about you. Thank goodness you're safe. She pulls away and begins to wipe the tears that sprung to her eyes. Why are you crying? Because I was worried about you, silly. She was really so worried she'd cry? Why? I'm intensely aware of the awkwardness of the situation. Thank you for worrying about me. I thought the words might do something to ease her worries, but her sobbing only grows louder. Anise? I'll get you something warm to drink. I stare off after Anise before I turn to Laura worriedly. Did I say the wrong thing? Quite the opposite, actually. You made her very happy. I did, but she was crying. They're called tears of joy, Princess. I'd be overwhelmed too if you were suddenly nice to me. Miracles tend to bring people to tears. I just said thank you. And that was a kindness in and of itself. No wonder she's so happy. I was being kind? And congratulations, Princess. I see that you've managed to complete your first good deed. My hand moves instinctively to my pendant. I clutch at the new piece that hangs there. I knew you could do it. Dolores smiles warmly. For some reason, it makes me feel strangely proud. Parfait walks into the room, startling us both. It had been 2 weeks since I last saw her. Her face is ashen. Parfait, you know that continuously using your magic takes a toll on your body. I have no choice. The witches. Her voice trails off as her eyes meet Dolores. Parfait and Delora look at each other solemnly. The tension in the room mounts as they continue to stare at each other without uttering a word. Eventually, Parfait's eyes wander to me. Keeping her in the dark won't make the situation any better, Delora. Parfait moves toward me, but her knees buckle. Before I can react, Delora is already at her side, supporting her. Parfait, you need to rest. I'll take care of this. No. She needs to hear this from both of us. What is going on? We wanted to tell you about this later, but we can no longer afford to wait. Delora helps Parfait to a chair. I tentatively take a seat opposite the two of them. We're going to tell you the whole truth of the situation. The whole truth? Delora sighs before she eventually speaks. Do you know why I cursed you, Princess? Some twisted sense of mischief? That's not the whole reason. We need to change your ways, Princess. To change how you see the world. If we didn't do something, you were going to end up as merciless and cold-hearted as your mother. What are you talking about? My eyes go to Parfait, but she doesn't meet my gaze. Hildyr, your mother, was not always so cruel. Parfait's eyes look wet, as if she is about to cry. Why are you speaking as if you knew her? She was my friend. Long before she was the queen, Hildyr was like a sister to me. But she changed when the witch hunt started. What does the witch hunt have to do with Mother? Parfait does not meet my eyes, but Delora is looking right at me. Your mother was a witch, Lucette. The most powerful of the witches, in fact. Hildyr was the Tenebrarum bearer. My heart drops into the pit of my stomach. No! That's impossible! I never saw her use magic. She cannot be a witch. That's what she wanted you to believe. You cannot keep something like that a secret. If you try hard enough, you can keep anything a secret, even from your own family. But how? Delora pauses for a long moment before she speaks. She erased your memories, Lucette. The air leaves my lungs as I struggle to remain calm. Waltz said that Mother ordered my memories to be erased, but are they saying that it was Mother herself who erased my memories? Jagged pieces of memory and thought begin to snap together in my mind. She needed you obedient and compliant. Whenever you acted out, she took the memory of disobedience from you. And it didn't take long at all to mold you into a perfect and unquestioning little doll. I grip my dress without realizing my hands are shaking. Then I did know Waltz. Mother really did erase my memories of him. How much of my childhood did I lose? Hildyr cherished humans before. She was kind and selfless. She was devoted to maintaining the balance between the Lucis and the Tenebrarum. But Hans... Delora puts a gentle hand on Parfai's shoulder. Okay, who's Hans? I gotta see this. It's not your fault. I trusted him too much. He swore there would only be stories. Oh, he's referring to the Grimm. She's referring to the Grimm brothers. Okay, because rewind back to the beginning of this walkthrough. Basically explains that the Grimm fairy tales were basically collected stories from all these other lands that they would travel through. And initially, they were supposed to be fantasies. But then the humans took them as literal fact because magic exists in this world. As a result, it put a lot of negativity towards the witches, and that's how the witch hunt started, and that in turn affected all these things that happened. So if anything, there's one story, if there's one you could blame for this, you could blame the Brothers Grimm. But anyway. He swore that they would only be stories. Small fantasies to share with his children. Hildyr wanted to turn him away, but I disagreed. I allowed Hans to weave his tales about witches and fairies. The fairy tales? Delora nods. Hans's fairy tales became hugely popular, and in practically every single one of his stories, it was a witch who was bad and a fairy who was good. To add insult to injury, it was well known that Hans had been welcomed by the Lucis bearer, but not by the Tenebrarum bearer. The humans took that information and their imaginations ran wild. Hildyr and I went to Hans to beg him to tell the truth, but it was too late. No matter what Hans said, everyone believed that he was being threatened by the witches. I don't think he ever meant for things to get so out of hand either. When the king at your time, your grandfather, also voiced negative opinions on the witches, he only added fuel to the fire. It was as if he was giving humans permission to carry on with their witch genocide. And we could do nothing to defend ourselves. We were bound by our oaths to never hurt a living soul. The witch hunt lasted for years. Most of us were slaughtered. All witches are bound to the Tenebrarum bearer through the Tenebrarum itself. Hildyr felt each of their deaths like it was her own. It drove her mad. And she broke her oath. She killed the king, your grandfather. Mother killed my grandfather? As Hildyr's power kept growing, more and more good witches were corrupted through their influence on the Tenebrarum. I tried to stop her, but she was already lost to reason. Hildyr wanted to take Angiel for the witches. She wanted us to take revenge on the humans for what they had done to all of us. And since your father was next in line, Hildyr forced Gennaro to marry her so she would have a legitimate claim to the throne. And she did it, even though she knew he loved another woman. The very woman who sits on the throne today. Ophelia? Delora nods. The king has always loved Ophelia? Hildyr created the fairy tale curse to punish the humans. She wanted to fuel Tenebrarum with their hatred and anger. Parfai's voice becomes very soft. The balance between dark and light was lost. While Hildyr lived, Angiel was a place of grief. I could feel an impending headache coming. But even if what you're saying is true, Mother is dead. She's been dead for 4 years. She is... But for some reason, the witches are becoming more active. Garwood and Jurian's patrols can confirm this. Patrols? Is that why you disappear at night? I had to cast a glamour on you so that other witches would be unable to recognize you as the princess. But it seems like they've already seen through your glamour. They're looking for you, princess. The witches are looking for you. What? Why? The Tenebrarum needs a bearer. A witch needs to take on that role and regulate the balance between the Lucis and the Tenebrarum. For the past few years, it's been a state of hibernation. We believe Hildyr infused her life into the Tenebrarum to keep it stable. But now the Tenebrarum is beginning to wake again. He believed that's why so many people are being cursed lately. The witches are preparing for their new bearer. Delora turns to me with an expression I cannot quite read. They only have to wait until you turn 18. The air in the room just seems to disappear all at once. Princess, on your 18th birthday, your curse will break regardless of whether you complete your 3 good deeds. And you will become the Tenebrarum bearer. You will inherit that title and that power from your mother. Impossible. My heart is racing and I feel faint. Even if Mother was a witch, I can't use magic at all. All halflings like you inherit their magic at 18. No, I'm human. Princess. Dolores grimaced as she speaks. We've been watching you over a long time, Lucette. We know what sort of influence your mother had on you. The curse was a test. We needed you to know that you wouldn't return to Angiel to what it was when your mother was queen. We can't allow another great war to tear Angiel apart. Delora and I believe that there's still goodness left in you. You just needed a wake-up call. Thus the curse and the 3 good deeds. We wanted to see what you hadn't in years, to be exposed to the true reality of things. And above all, we needed to see that you were capable of 3 good deeds. I attempt to grasp the fleeting thoughts in my mind, but to no avail. I feel numb. That's it. No more secrets. Parfai's voice is gentle when she speaks to me. The future in this kingdom is in your hands. Will you follow your mother's footsteps? Or will you achieve the same balance that we had before? Dang! I'm thinking of public confessions. This one was the most powerful. No matter how much I try, I'm unable to sleep after my talk with Delora and Parfait. Mother was a wicked witch, and I am the next bearer of the Tenebrarum. It all makes sense now. So many people hated me because they thought I would be just like Mother. I feel the way that truth crashed down on me, and it is suffocating. What am I supposed to do now? I turn to my side and bring my knees to my chest. How do I know what the truth is anymore? Suddenly, an idea occurs to me. There is one other person who might know the truth. Waltz. I wonder how he is doing. I slip out of my room and make my way toward Waltz's. Waltz is sound asleep when I push the door to his room open. He looks so small on the bed. I pause to look at the hefty amount of herbs lying on the table. Those herbs. I remember a niece once told me that they help with pain. Rumple and Anise have given Waltz a lot of them. Thoughts about the truth of my mother retreat to the back of my mind as I remember the encounter with Varg. Waltz would have never have gotten hurt if it wasn't for me. My eyes begin to sting. Oof. Okay. So, in this case, we gotta be honest with our feelings. Because if we were still our mother's kid, we would be forced to hold back our tears because we don't want to show vulnerability. But in this case, because it's Waltz, it's the important part to be honest. Plus, I remember the third clue, which says, there is a time where you will have to not listen to Waltz. Which I have a feeling it's going to be in one of the later chapters. So, in this case here... Oh wait, but then again, it says be confident. Oof. So, the holding back the tears part. What part of it is confidence and what part of it's being honest? Okay. I'm gonna risk it and say cry. Because I think trusting means trusting your feelings. And that's one thing she hasn't been able to do before. So I think she should let it out. So, let's give it a shot. Here we go. For the first time in years, I let my tears flow freely. I do not even know why I'm crying, and I find myself talking aloud. You said that crying doesn't make a person weak, but it certainly makes me feel that way. You're not weak, princess. No! Waltz, why did he wake up? You're the strongest person I know. Waltz's voice is soft and his words are slurred. He's clearly still under the influence of the medication he's been given, but he still continues to speak. Despite everything you've gone through, you're still standing on your own 2 feet. I cannot lie anymore. I've only been pretending to be a strong person, but I cannot do this anymore. Knowing that all this time I've been living in a life full of lies. I'm questioning even my mother's affections now. Another dangerously gloomy thought hangs in the back of my mind. If Mother did not care about me, that means no one did at all. I do. I care about you, Lucette. Waltz's voice begins to grow weak and his eyes flutter closed. You're tired, Waltz. You should sleep. Lucette? His voice is slurred and slow, but hear him saying my name without the title somehow feels nostalgic. Please don't cry, little star. Waltz closes his eyes, finally surrendering to sleep. I take a deep breath and leave his room, closing the door quietly behind me. Flashback time! Again! Okay. Abra... Cadabra! Teach me how to do it too! A magician never reveals his secret, little star. You always say that. Please? Just this one. Please, Waltz? On your birthday. I'll teach you how to do it on your birthday. Promise? Promise. Aww. That's one of the few happy dream sequences. I wake slowly. The dream is somehow still clear in my mind. A dream about Waltz? Was that a memory? I shake my head before I glance at the clock, stopping to stare at the time. How is it already this late? Princess? Waltz? The door opens and Waltz walks inside with a tray of food. He sets it down on by my bedside as I stare at him in shock. You're finally awake. Waltz, you're supposed to be in bed. I'm only injured, not an invalid, Princess. But I'm fine, Princess. It's not like you to worry so much. I respond to his smile with an exasperated sigh. He will never heal properly if he does not stay in bed. Here, I wanted to give this to you yesterday. Waltz reaches behind his back and pulls out a nearly wrapped box. It looks as if he pulls it out of thin air. Another magic trick? He hands me the wrapped box. What's this? You'll need to open it to find out. Oh! This is... You've been wanting this, haven't you? I stared down at the doll he bought for me. It is the same one that I caught my eye in the shop. The reason we went to the toy shop was so that you could buy this for me? Yep, I'm glad I didn't get damaged last night. My chest tightens with emotion. These dolls are expensive. Waltz would have needed more than just his usual show tips to buy this. Why would you buy this for me? I figured you might want the extra company. Plus, you've always loved dolls, so I thought this one might cheer you up. I stare at the doll as I cradle her in my hands, my heart feeling full in my chest. Thank you. I've never gotten an unexpected gift like this before. Waltz clears his throat, and I look up at him and notice that his expression is somehow sad. Lady Parfait told me that she and Delora told you the whole story yesterday. I have to apologize to you. For what? The reason why they didn't tell you earlier is because I asked that they keep it a secret. I looked at the doll, my mouth suddenly dry. Why? Because I wanted you to enjoy having a normal life, even if it was just for a short time. Knowing the truth limits your freedom. I didn't want you to feel that pressure so soon. But I could say now that it was selfish of me to deprive you of the truth. I'm sorry. I clutched tighter at the doll, unable to look up at Waltz. Why would you be so kind without expecting anything in return? Kindness doesn't always need to be paid back. When you do something for someone, they'll always expect the favor to be returned. That's what Mother taught me. From experience, no one is ever kind without expecting something in return. I don't expect anything from you in return, Princess. But how can I know for certain that you're speaking the truth? Well, you can't. No matter what someone's true intentions are, their actions are always up for a different interpretation. So, it'll be up to you to judge their actions. Only you can decide whether or not to believe in me. I pull my knees up to my chest, curling up around the doll. I still do not understand how you can be kind to me. You told me yourself that it was Tana Barnbarrow that cursed you. That means my mother? Your mother was the witch that took away my magic and sealed it in Neverland. But that does not mean it is your fault that I'm cursed. You're more than just Hildyr's daughter, Princess. You're your own person, and I know for a fact that you're capable of more goodness than Hildyr ever was. Waltz gestures toward my necklace. You're only 2 good deeds away from breaking your curse. I would not have accomplished that first one without your help. In fact, I would have done nothing to help break your... My voice trails off as my thoughts begin to come together. Waltz! To break your curse, you need to find Tinkerbell in Neverland, right? What do they look like? Neverland is a good gold box with a carving of wings in the top, and Tinkerbell is the matching key. I sit up abruptly. We have to go to the palace. Waltz stares at me, his expression clearly perplexed. What? Why? Because I know where to find Tinkerbell in Neverland. Break. I should be going to bed right now, but I don't care. I want to keep going. Waltz's description of Neverland and Tinkerbell was enough to jog my memory. A long time ago, Mother gave me a box and a key to match Waltz's earlier description perfectly. She gave me strict instructions to hide them in my room and to never let anyone else have them. I never questioned Mother's orders and kept both the box and the key tucked in one of my drawers. I'd forgotten I even had those things till Waltz mentioned them. The minute I remembered, I sent a letter to Rod requesting he help us get into the palace. I knew that a strange relationship would make it hard for him to trust me, so I emphasized the importance of the item we needed to obtain. A week later, he finally came through. Now we're just outside the palace, waiting for him. Durian and Garland are here to protect us in case the need arises. I glanced at Waltz, who was standing beside me, fidgeting. He has been against me coming with him ever since he found out my plans. He cannot stop me. I refuse to be left behind. You still won't change your mind about this, Princess? You know the situation with the witches. It's not safe for you to be here. It's not safe for me anywhere outside the margin, and you know that. Besides, how do you plan on finding Neverland and Tinkerbell without me? I'm the only one who knows where they are. Like I said, you would just tell me where they are. I can go on my own. There's no need to put yourself in this much danger. I am going, and you cannot stop me, Waltz. Princess. I turned to face him fully. This is my choice, Waltz. I want to do this. For the moment, there was silence between us as Waltz studies my expression. He eventually sighs and shakes his head. I should know by now there's no changing your mind when you're determined to do something. Just promise to stay close to me, okay? I nod absently as I feel around for my pocket for a small object. A vial the Parfait gave to me before Waltz and I left for the palace. She said it should help us when the need arises. It's a shame that neither Parfait nor Delora could be here due to their urgent meeting with the fairies. Durian and Garland finally arrived with Rod. Ready? I can only nod and reply. Hopefully nothing will go wrong. We make our way through a secret passageway. I've heard the secret passageway from the king before, but this is the first time I've ever been here. They say that this was built as an escape route should the need to evacuate the royal family arise. Only the commander of the Order of Hildyr and the king know about this place. Rod? How do you even know this place? How did you get a key? I thought only the king and Cyril Castor had copies. It was Lady Parfait who showed me this place and gave me the key. I can't leave the palace unattended under normal circumstances, so she suggested I go through here whenever I need to get to the march-in. Then, how was she able to get a copy of the key? Fill in the blanks, Lucette! How else? You should ask her that yourself. Anyway, you haven't even told me what you needed from your room. It's an item that will break Waltz's curse. I see. Why did it take you so long to respond to my letter? The palace has been on high alert since last week. Why? Rod stops and looks at me. The hesitation is clear in his eyes. Did something happen? A week ago, the king received a letter. A warning. A letter? It said that 3 days from now, the king will be judged and convicted. His crown will be given to one more worthy. I stare at Rod with slow understanding. 3 days from now, but that date? Your 18th birthday. I continue to stare at Rod in disbelief. This cannot be coincidence. But a new king? Do you think someone is specifically targeting my father? We all know the royals are always in danger. But this threat has made the king especially nervous. Are the witches involved in this? The silence that falls in the tunnels is heavy. They think there is a good chance they must be. That's why the Order of Hildyr has tightened security. We continue walking in silence. Eventually, Rod points at something ahead of us. Here we are. The dim light of the tunnel illuminates a rusted door that leads into the palace. Rod looks around warily, while Waltz and I quickly duck into the shadows of a column. The guards will be doing their rounds in the side soon. We need to hurry. Right. The hallways are thankfully quiet as we traverse them. Rod did a good job of scoping out the times of patrol. Eventually, we reach my room. I stop at the door to my room, suddenly overwhelmed by nostalgia. It's been so long since I've been in my room. Is this Emmeline's room now? No. By the king's order, your room has been untouched since you were cursed. Then, what has become of this room? I look at Rod in shock as he studies the door to my room with a complicated expression on his face. I think maids are sent in here to dust occasionally, but otherwise everything should be just as it was before. But why would the king keep the room as it is if he does not remember me? I turn back to the door thoughtfully and glance at Rod. We can handle the rest. You should leave before you draw any unwanted attention. I do not want to get you in trouble. Don't worry. We'll figure out a way to get back to the passage without alerting anyone. What? You've changed. What do you mean by that? You never would have cared about someone else's safety before. Rod turns to leave before I can respond. Be careful. Thank you. Goblin and I will stand outside. Make it quick. I nod at Jurian before turning back to the door and turning the knob. I glance at Waltz and he nods at me. I take a deep breath and open the door. Rod told me that my room had been untouched since I left, but I was not expecting it to be like this. Nothing has changed. Not a thing out of place. There's not even a speck of dust in the dolls on my shelves. Lucette? I'm confused as to why this room has been untouched. Certainly the king would have thought to do something else with it. At the very least, he would have not had maids coming in consistently to clean it. But I cannot let myself linger on the questions. I have no time for them. We came here to find Neverland and Tinkerbell. I look at Waltz and nod. Let us start searching. Time passes by, but I'm only able to find the key. The box is nowhere to be found, not even the drawer that I remember putting it in. To think that you had Neverland and Tinkerbell this whole time? Have you tried searching for it in my room before? I have, but I didn't find anything. She must have used the glamour magic to hide it from me. I stare at the key with frustration. I don't understand. I'm sure it was here. Are you sure you didn't throw it away? No, I would never throw away such a beautiful box. Besides, I keep most of my things. They're all valuable to me, even if they're not outwardly beautiful. I wouldn't have believed you if I hadn't seen this. He leans down to pluck a puppet from one of my drawers. He holds it up with a smile, and I feel my cheeks heat in embarrassment. Oh! I never remembered to throw that out. Waltz gazes at me thoughtfully. That's the only reason? Well... I look at the puppet in his hands to find the truth spilling out of me. I was never able to put my finger on why, but I've always liked that puppet. A smile stretches across Waltz's face. You kept it, even though I did such a bad job with the sewing. What? You made this? Yeah, this is the first puppet I ever made. Waltz turns the puppet in his hands, looking down on it fondly before his eyes meet mine. You were the one who taught me how to sew in the first place, you know. What? I was the one who taught him how to sew? I stare at the puppet. I probably kept it because you made it. How cruel. Huh? Do you have any idea what you're doing to my poor heart? You seem perfectly fine to me. Waltz shakes his head and sighs. Waltz? So dense. What? The knob begins to turn. Waltz and I exchange glances before we both dart to different hiding places. I hide myself under the bed and he runs behind the curtains, which more easily conceal his smaller body. Oh! Here we go. The king? What is he doing here? When the king steps inside, I notice there is something in his hands. Neverland! Oh my god! Okay. That's the box, but why does he have it? I look at Waltz and he gives me a small nod, affirming that it is indeed Neverland. Who's there? Oh, shoot! Oh my god. Okay. Show yourself now if you don't want to get hurt. Oh, shoot! He ain't playing! King Janata III, the OG. What should we do? I look at Waltz, who signals me to stay in place. He mouths something, and I think I might be saying that he means to find a way to get us out. Is Waltz going to sacrifice himself again? Will he be alright? Should I trust him? Okay, so they said there was one time. There's one time. Absolutely one time that you can't listen to him. Is this it? Is the question. We're on what? Let me see. We're on chapter 5. So, I don't know if the lore is going to be as extensive as what Fritz went through. But it feels like this is finishing pretty quickly. So, I'm leaning towards reveal myself. Considering all that Lucette already knows, I'm leaning towards this is the time that I don't follow him. This is the time that I reveal myself. So let's do this. Fingers crossed. Okay, here we go. No, I can't let himself sacrifice himself again for my sake. Before Waltz can react, I slide out of my hiding place and stand in front of the king. The king's eyes widen as he looks at me. You're that girl from the gates. You remember me? It's more like I find it impossible to forget you. What? You have someone else here with you, don't you? My mind races to try to think of what to do next, but Waltz suddenly steps out from behind the curtains and bows. It's been a while, Your Majesty. Waltz? I remember that Waltz that worked for Mother, so naturally the king would know who he was. You haven't changed at all. That is unfortunately the case. The king's expression twists, sadness appearing in his eyes. I'm sorry, Waltz. What happened to you is... There's no need to apologize, Your Majesty. I did the things I did in the past, knowing the possible consequences. What are they talking about? I have a lot of questions for the two of you, but most importantly is why you're both in this room. Regardless of the fact that I know you, Waltz, you've still broken into the palace. We would not have done it if we did not have to. I still myself from further scolding when the king turns to look at me. That box you're holding? We needed to break Waltz's curse. How did you come to have it, Your Majesty? The king looks down at the box, as if only noticing it for the first time. I was in this room the other day and I noticed a chip on the side of the box. I took it to get it fixed. A chip? I did drop it once a while back, but I did not think to get it fixed myself. Why would you do that? The king looks around the room, a forward look in his eyes. This room is special to me, though I do not know why. I feel like this room and I are both waiting for someone to return, and everything must be perfect for when they do. I feel my chest tighten even as the king huffs out a derisive laugh. What am I saying? He can't miss me when he does not remember me. He can't. Right? But if this box is all that you require, Waltz, you may have it. It is the least I can do after all that you've done for us. The king holds out the box to Waltz, who reaches out to take it. Thank you, Your Majesty. Look who we have here. We all freeze at the sound of the new voice. I turn and find an all too familiar face leaning against the doorway, a mischievous grin on his face. Shoot, Varg. What a sweet little reunion. Varg? Chapter 6. Betrayals! Anime betrayals, here we go. So, it's probably a good thing that we purposely reveal ourselves at this point. Boom. Anyway. Varg! I told you I'd come back for you, didn't I? Varg taps his cane on the floor, creating a shockwave of powerful energy that blasts us all across the room. The impact of the magic forces me against the wall. I collapse to my knees, pain thrumming in my head. The king collapses somewhere nearby, and I hear the crack of the box as it lands on the ground a few feet away from us. Waltz holds out his hand. I take it and he helps me back to my feet. Lucette, are you alright? Yes. Lucette? The king looks at me quizzically, but his gaze does not linger. He looks toward Varg, his eyes narrowed. Did the king remember who I was? Your Majesty, are you hurt? The king shakes his head at Waltz before turning his attention to Varg, his eyebrows furrowed. Who is this man? Your Majesty, this person is working for the Wicked Witches. What? Wait, what happened to Duran and Garland? They were just outside the door. What did you do to them? Varg cocks his head to the side. Who? The guards just outside this door. I'm sure they must have hit themselves when they saw the king coming to this room, but they still should have been able to see Varg coming. Guards? I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about, Princess. Varg seems like he's telling the truth, but I cannot trust him. Please, let them be safe. I see Neverland a few feet from us. I could try to grab it, but Varg will probably thwart my attempt with magic. I have to wait for an opening. I'll distract him. While I do that, the both of you need to run. What? I eye Varg. He looks at the three of us with his lips slightly quirked, as if he is amused. This isn't the time to argue with him, he said. Shoot! No! There's two of them! Ah! Then again, technically, that wasn't a statement. Then again, that wasn't a statement. That was just a nod. This time, this is how I disobey. This is disobeying. This is the disobeying part. This is it. So, nope. Stay with them, because also the chapter title is called Betrayal. This is the time that we betray our instincts. So this is the time we don't listen to them. We stay. No, Lucette, we must prioritize the king's safety. I will help you. I do not know how, but I must do something. But we're in this together, Waltz. I'm not going to run away with you and sacrifice yourself for us. Waltz's disapproval is clearly written on his face, but he eventually sighs out, seeming to let it go. You're too stubborn for your own good. So I've been told. I turned to the king and placed a hand on his shoulder. Your Majesty, leave this to us. You have to escape somewhere safe. It does not involve the king. It is me that Varg wants, after all. The king shakes his head as he removes my hand from his shoulder. He stands up and moves in front of us before pulling his sword from his sheath. Your Majesty! What kind of king would I be if I stood back and allowed 2 children to protect me? Varg looks amused by our conversation. You know that I'm not letting you get away with this time, Princess. It doesn't matter who stands in my way. Father, his cave is enchanted. You can't hold him with just a blade. Father? I'm at a loss for words. It has been a long time since I called him that. Much to my surprise, the king's lips pull into a soft smile. You said that at the gates one day, when you were seeking an audience with me. I have not been able to forget that day. Before I could say anything in return, a familiarly smooth voice breaks the ensuing silence. Oh, I wonder where all these voices are coming from. A familiar man steps into the doorway. He inspects everyone in the room quietly. Mithros. Your Majesty? Quickly, summon the knights. We have an intruder in the palace. He gestures at Varg, who looks unperturbed. An intruder, you say? Sir Mithros turns to Varg. At first, his expression is impassive, but then slowly, his lips begin to edge into a sly smile. You're such a ruffian, Varg. Look at all this property destruction. I can only gape at Sir Mithros in shock. If he knows Varg, then he most certainly is affiliated with the witches. You know this man? Explain yourself, Mithros. We're all thrown off guard by Sir Mithros' laughing. Soon his laugh becomes a mad cackle. There's a strange brightness in his eyes that sends shivers down my spine. My apologies, Your Majesty. I'm just amused by my servant's atrocious behavior. At ease, Varg. Sir Mithros gestures at Varg, a silent command to lower his cane. Varg obeys him before moving to a corner of the room and leaning against the wall with disinterest. Don't worry, Your Majesty. You're not the one we're after. What? Sir Mithros turns his sly smile on me, and I instinctively take a step back. The princess is the lady we need to escort. Escort? Princess? This girl was a princess? That is correct. It is a shame that you can't remember your own daughter, even though she stands right in front of you. Enough with your vagueness. Explain yourself. The king's grip on the hilt of his sword tightens. I'm not obliged to explain everything to you. Try to think on your own for a change, Your Majesty. Mithros? Sir Mithros ignores the king's outburst and turns attention to Waltz. He visibly stiffens and his sly smile contorts into a grimace. And look who we have here. I see that the traitor has returned to the palace. Waltz stares at him, looking puzzled. Sir Mithros tilts his head to the side and offers Waltz a lopsided smile. You still look the same as you did back then. I did not think that it was possible for you to grow any weaker, Waltz Cresswell. Mithros. I see. Waltz suddenly looks melancholy as he stares into Sir Mithros. Waltz? What's going on? This man's real name is Myth, and he's a witch, same as me. It appears he's using a powerful glamour to conceal his real identity. If I hadn't been cursed, I would have been able to tell right away. I would not give yourself so much credit, Cresswell. Waltz narrows his eyes but says nothing. I glance between the two of them, confused. But how do you know him? He secretly worked for your mother, practically worshipped her. I was only the person who knew of his existence as a witch outside the Tenebrarum bearer. A witch? I trusted you, Mithros. The king says the words through gritted teeth, his face contorted in anger. Sir Mithros flicks a wrist. It is a dismissive gesture, and he still looks amused. What a hypocrite you are, Your Majesty. He eyes Waltz. You're willing to play nice with some witches, but not others. This bias is what drove us witches to madness in the first place. Sir Mithros faces the king with a grin. You human hypocrites are so easy to manipulate. It is pathetic. Mithros! The king charges towards Sir Mithros with a sword held high. Your Majesty, don't! The king's sword never touches Sir Mithros. Sir Mithros only has to hold out his hand, and suddenly an invisible force pushes the king back. He crashed into one of my shelves, knocking down my dolls. Your Majesty! I quickly run to his side to help him up. Thankfully, he does not seem to have any major wounds. To think there was a witch working in the palace the whole time? And not the good kind of witch either. I was too careless. Rejoice, Your Majesty. I still have more surprises for you. I'll never forgive this betrayal, Mithros. Betrayal? I'm afraid you've been played for a fool this entire time, Your Majesty. My loyalty has been for Lady Hildyr and no one else. Myth? I can't imagine what you hoped to gain from all this. Hildyr was long gone. Sir Mithros' eyes flash as he turns to severe glare on Waltz. His voice is seething with venom when he speaks. Had it not been for you, traitor, she would still be here. The king mentioned Waltz's betrayal. Sir Mithros called him a traitor. What exactly did Waltz do? Sir Mithros beckons me forward with a gesture of his hand. Now, if you please, Princess, come with us if you don't want them to get hurt. Waltz immediately stands in front of me. I won't let you take her! In your current form, you don't stand a chance. I'll make certain that you will never break your curse, Waltz. This whole thing was a setup. A trap. I'm sorry, Waltz. This is my fault. No, it was mine. The reason we came was to break my curse. My eyes once again flit to the box on the floor. Neverland is just a few steps away from me. Neverland! Waltz's eyes follow mine to the box. He leans back and whispers to me. You have to get the box and break my curse. I feel for the key inside my pocket. If Waltz's true magic is indeed sealed in that box, then releasing it might give us a chance at victory. And Mithros and Varg do not seem to have caught into the fact that the object that break Waltz's curse is right at their feet. Okay. The king moves to stand beside Waltz and draws the sword again, his body a shield. Your Majesty! I will not let you take this girl. You'll have to go through me first. You can't do this! Lucette, I've always loved that name. I thought if I ever had a daughter, I would give her that name. Dang! Oh, man! Magic makes even the impossible possible. You must truly be my daughter. Yes? Tears start to blur my vision. I mean, she does have his eyes. Oh, how disgustingly touching. It seems as if I would just have to deal with you first. No! I rush toward the box and see when Mithros casts a spell. Varg lunges toward me, his hand is reaching for me, but he is too late. By the time he grabs me, I've already inserted the key into Neverland. I give it one definite twist and hear the click of the box as it pops open. White flashes through the room, blinding me. Suddenly I feel a strong arm around me, holding me tightly, protectively. When I open my eyes, it is Waltz I see. Even several years older, I still recognize him. Waltz? Hey there, little star. Seems like the time is turned, Myth. Okay, I'm saving it for this expression alone. Because, man, that could be like a manga cover right there. I'm saving it right there. Waltz grins, and I see a confidence in his expression that I've never seen before. Sir Mithras' frown has only become more severe. Fool! I'll show you that I was the favorite apprentice. Be careful not to hurt the princess, Mithros. Varys' voice is almost teasing, but Sir Mithros does not seem to care. I didn't plan on it. Sir Mithros gestures his hand in a sweeping gesture. The beginnings of a spell gather at his fingertips. Waltz looks at me and smiles reassuringly. Now, when I say I can protect you, Lucette, I definitely can. I'm not gonna lie, he's cute! Oh my god. I think out of all the character drawings, I think, like, his and Karma's are my favorites. Anyway. Woo! Waltz holds out his hand just before Sir Mithras' magic reaches us. An invisible barrier suddenly appears in front of us, thwarting Sir Mithras' magic. Seems like I'm not as rusty as I thought I would be. Waltz slaps his fingers and effortlessly creates a dark wave that pushes both Sir Mithras and Varg to the wall. Ugh! Let's go! What do we do now? The Order of Caldera. They're sworn to an oath of protection. We can't rely on them. Waltz glances down the hallway, his mouth drawn in a tight line. I see clear suspicion in his eyes. I look back at the king. Because I forget, Alcaster was still a thing. Alcaster was still a thing. The knights should have been here by now. Surely such a commotion should have brought them running. Now I know why Waltz is staring down the hallway. He's searching for the knights that are meant to pass through here. There's no possible way they did not hear the skirmish in my bedroom. The three of us push onward. I stand between the king and Waltz, waiting. I'm not entirely sure what I'm waiting for, but I can feel the tension in the air. We only stop moving when a voice cuts through the silence. Your Majesty! Oh, okay, hold on. Let me redo that. Hold up. Your Majesty! So, Sir Alcaster stops before us with a group of knights. His face is impassive at best. Waltz takes a step back as Sir Alcaster looks to the king. The king is quiet for a few moments, his eyebrows drawn together in a terse expression. He finally speaks. I'm about to declare a state of emergency. Where have you been? Seize them. Oh, shoot! This is why this is anime betrayals, one by one. Anime betrayals. This is why it's called. This chapter is called betrayals. Betrayal after betrayal after betrayal, or as Kate Mulgrew would quote with counterpoint, a coup within a coup within a coup. My eyes are still on the knights in front of us when I hear footsteps from behind us. I am nonplussed when a dozen knights appear from the shadows and surround us. I look for Fritz in the cluster of knights, but he is not here. The king stares around him, baffled. What is the meaning of this? Could this be the reason why? What's happening? That voice. We all turn to watch the dining room doors open. Ophelia enters with Emmeline and Rod. Several knights trail behind and flank them on either side, giving them no room to escape. Rod notices me and stares in shock, but says nothing. Gennaro! The minute she sees the king, she calls his name and attempts to run toward him. The knights only need to raise their swords and block her path to stop her. I think it takes care of all the intruders. Though I'm not happy the two managed to escape. Two? Jurian and Garland. If they manage to escape, they might be able to get reinforcements. The king will be judged and convicted. His crown will be given to one more worthy. I see. It was you who sent that letter, Alcaster. That is correct. Now, if you wanted to protect your family, you will hand over your crown. The king shakes with rage. Was this yours and Mithros' plan all along? To take down this kingdom at its heart? Cyril Castor snorts and crosses his arms. Do not clump me together with that snake. Both of us have different goals. It just so happens we both need to be rid of you. What? You're a weak king, Gennaro. The kingdom of Angiel needs someone who will rule with an iron fist. You're too soft, and so your subjects have become too dependent on the kingdom. And how do you propose I run my kingdom? By instilling fear. There is no place for fear in this kingdom. Its ruler's obligation is to assuage the fears of his people. I cannot believe you would do this, Sir Alcaster. Alcaster looks at me with disinterest. Lucette, correct? I have no business with you, but I suppose Mithros does. You've been backed into a corner. What do we do? I feel for my pocket, my hand touching the smooth surface of a vial. I can still remember the potion that Parfait gave me before we left. I'd forgotten I had this with me. Parfait told me to use the potion if we found ourselves in a difficult situation. She said it would give us time to escape. She did not even tell me what it does. I glanced at Waltz, who's eyeing the knights quietly. But it is also possible that Waltz will be able to do something about the situation with his magic. Shoot! This is hard! Okay. Okay. Do I use the vial now, or do I ask Waltz to use the stuff? Then again, if Waltz uses magic, it would be too predictable. Whereas the last thing you would think is Lucette being armed. Honestly, this is a tough situation. You've got Lucette, the king, Ophelia, Rod, Emmeline, and Waltz. That's 6 people you gotta get out. So I'm thinking, yeah, this is a tough situation. You got like a dozen knights surrounding you, and Alcaster, and Mithros on the other side. So yeah, this is time to get out. This is time to get out. Parfait's potion. Parfait's potion, assemble. I reach into my pocket and slip the vial out. I put my fingers just long enough for Waltz to see it. He gives me a subtle nod before turning his attention to Sir Alcaster, who was still speaking with the king. I will make you regret your actions, Sir Alcaster. I'll throw my vial into the floor. Throw the vial to the floor. The moment it shatters, a blinding white light envelops the room, forcing my eyes to close. Waltz grabs my hand and pulls me away. Don't let them escape! I hear a few grunts from the knights as Waltz begins to barrel his way through them. Waltz leads me Waltz leads me into the throne room. We've all somehow made it out. Rod stands in between Ophelia and Emmeline. Rod must have pretty good eyes to be able to lead them both out of them in all that chaos. Good job back there, Lucette. I never realized you had a potion. Parfait gave it to me before she left in our urgent meeting. It's a good thing, then. You saved me by using it, you know. Using a more complicated spell would have drained my energy. Oh! I'm getting the hang of this now! I feel really good. Okay. Why is this happening? Emmeline's eyes are filled with tears. Ophelia takes her into her arms and rubs her back in an effort to calm her. This is my fault. How could I have not foreseen this? Juriam is right about him. I should have listened to her. This is not your fault, Your Majesty. We don't have much time. We need to escape and tell Lady Parfait about this. It sounds like Jurian and Garland were able to escape. It is possible they will soon bring reinforcements. Rod? You know these people? Rod is silent for a few moments before nodding at her. Yes, they're my friends. Friends? Rod just shrugs at me. More than likely, he just wants us to play along. Waltz paces through the room, his arms crossed as he tries to think of something. Waltz? I haven't done this in a long time, but I can try to open a portal that leads back to the margin. Witches can do that? All the most practiced witches. It only works if they have a clear image of where they want to go. So, you can do it? I can. I was taught by your mother, after all. Waltz starts waving his hand in front of him as he conjures a spell to open the portal. But the portal disappears as soon as it appears. and fades again. Damn it. They're coming, Waltz. I'm doing my best, princess. Waltz tries to cast the spell again. This time the opening appears and stays. I did it! But this won't be open for long. Your Majesty, you must go first. No, did Ophelia and the children go first? Waltz nods as he ushers Ophelia and Emily into the portal. Though Rod is reluctant to step inside, I force him into the portal before me. I can't keep this portal open much longer, Lucette. I can manage one more person before I need to recast it. Your Majesty, you must go. No. What? I do not have any intention of leaving. To leave this place is to abandon my kingdom. I will not flee like a coward. I will protect my throne until my last breath. Oh, dang! Is this what I think it's leading to? Captain goes down with the ship kind of ending? Oh, man. I thought I would have more time. Okay. But that would be suicide. He would not kill me. He may have managed to sway the order, but I have the people on my side. Killing me will cause an uprising, and that is the last thing he will want. But if the king escaped, he would be able to fight from the outside. The castle and his crown are symbols, but he's in danger if he stays here alone. I glance at Waltz and notice him paling. I could tell the magic is sapping his strength, making him weaker. I ball my hands into fists. I cannot leave the king here by myself. He is the king, and I am the crown princess. Waltz, you will come back for me, right? What are you... Before he can react, I pull my hands on his back and push him with all the strength I can muster. Waltz stares at me in horror as he falls into his portal. I'm sorry. Waltz disappears and the portal collapses in on itself, leaving me with the king. Both my mind and heart are numb as the nights approach, ready to surround us. The king and I sit on the floor, with our hands tied behind our backs. There are 2 knights standing by the door to watch over us. I look at the king, who remains as quiet and solemn as before. He's been so calm. Does he have a plan? Why is it that you chose to stay with me? I'm surprised when he finally breaks the silence. Because there are questions I need answers to. Besides, I can't just leave you here. I have many things I need to ask you. King Gennaro falls silent as he stares at me. The gold in his eyes clearly reflects my own. I never realized how similar our eyes were. Is it true? Are you really my daughter? Yes. I was given the fairy tale curse and turned into a peasant. My title was stolen from me and from the minds of the people. No one remembers who I am anymore. Cinderella. How did you know? I noticed the glass slipper on your neck, but the other slipper seems to be missing a piece. A piece? I turned down and stared at the second slipper. My eyes widened when I noticed that the piece is bigger. But when did this happen? I consider and recall the moment I broke Waltz's curse. Was it when I broke Waltz's curse? I think it was the vial, because like the white light from that could have been enough that she couldn't tell. But I also could have been Waltz's curse too, come to think of it. This means I only have one more deed left to complete, but my birthday is tomorrow. Are you alright? Yes, I'm just worried. You've been through much today. Try and get some rest. You must preserve your energy. I'm unsure of what he means, but either way, there's no way I could possibly sleep now. At least that's what I tell myself, but minutes pass by as I feel my eyes getting heavier. Eventually, I drift into dreamless sleep. I bet the first one she's had in a very, very, very long time. Lucette, you must wake up. I blink a few times, and when I come to, I find that I'm leaning on the king's shoulder. I fell asleep. The king glances back to the door. His eyes narrowed slightly as he takes a deep breath. What flavor is that, by the way? Mind if I try a little bit? That's good. The king glances back to the door, his eyes narrowed slightly as he takes a deep breath. It's time to go. What? I turn toward the front door and realize the knights guarding the room are missing. They will be back soon. You must hurry. I'm surprised when the king pulls out the ropes that were binding him. He holds a small knife in his hands. Oh my gosh! King Gennaro, the OG. How long has he been out of his bindings? Why did you free yourself? I think I've been sorely underestimated. I haven't trained just as well as the knights. It goes without saying that I could get myself out of bindings. I'm not so weak that I need to depend on others to protect me. The shade! It sounds like something I would say. But where'd you get the knife? They made sure to take anything we had that could have been a weapon. Would it suffice to say that I pulled it from a hidden spot? Not many people think to look in a person's boots. The king leads down to cut my bindings and lowers himself to the ground. His fingers brush the floor. What are you doing? Finding the keyhole. Here we are. He pulls a small key from his pocket and fits into a crevice in the floor. The floor gives a gentle, audible rumble. Dang! How many secrets does this place have? The king pulls a tile from the floor, revealing a hidden staircase. There was a hidden staircase here? In the floor. An escape route, and from wherever needed. Only I know of its existence. I must go before they return. I nod and follow after him. The king sets the panel in place as we descend down into darkness. The floor rumbles once more as the hidden pathway closes behind us. Both of us walk in silence for some time. The only sound we hear are the echoes of our footsteps. I am behind the king, staring at his back. He seems to have already recovered from his earlier injury. Or he could be just pretending that he's alright. How is your back? It doesn't hurt as much now. Thank you for asking. Silence ensues once again. This is getting awkward. Maybe I should say something. Okay, so we don't need to think about clue 2 anymore that much. So be confident, be trusting, and be the most selfless person you can be in this route. So this is time to do confidence. So we say something, because this is our dad. This is our time that we can ask questions. I cannot stand the silence any longer and speak up before I lose my nerve. I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? Because I've done nothing for you but cause you trouble. Rod told me once that when I disappeared, the king was the happiest he'd ever been. Because I was not there. I'm sure if you'd given the chance to forget me or not, you would have chosen to forget me. No, it feels like I've been the cause of your pain, not the other way around. I feel as if I should be the one apologizing. I've been wondering for a while. If you are indeed my daughter, why do you address me by title? Do you not call me father? I stop in my tracks and turn away. It has been years since I called you that. You were never there for me, so I stopped considering you my father. A deafening silence falls upon us. I am sorry. Can you tell me why you distanced yourself from me? The king looks at me silently, something of regret in his eyes. I want to slap myself for my foolish question. My apologies, I forgot you do not remember me. You know, I've learned many things since I've been cursed, but the things I've learned do not answer my questions. I thought by staying here I would finally chance upon some answers, some truth. I've always thought that only Mother loved me because you were never there for me. I'm sorry I cannot give you the answers you seek. Well, I can understand why you would hate me. I am a witch's daughter, after all. Hildyr. Do you know what transpired in the past? You mean with Mother? Hildyr threatened to kill the person I loved if I did not marry her. She threatened to kill Ophelia. The king looks down, his face contorted with anger. Parfait had said that Mother already broke their rules long before she took over the kingdom. Her hands are already stained with blood. I won't let any more of my loved ones die in her hands. I had no choice back then. I married her because I refused to let her hurt Ophelia. I hated that woman for ruining my life and my kingdom. I know. I recall when he apologized to Waltz for something that had transpired in the past. Can you tell me who Waltz is? Waltz? He was Hildyr's apprentice. He was powerful, considered the second strongest among the witches. Really? He was a child prodigy. That is why Hildyr ordered his family killed when they refused to give him to her. Waltz didn't find out about that until much later. Good God! Oh my God! Mother killed Waltz's family? I can't believe this. Just how many lives did she take? When he did find out, he betrayed Hildyr. He divulged her plans to the fairies and helped them defeat her. I gave him a copy of the key to the secret tunnels so that he could deliver it to the Lucis bearer. And that's where it all ties back to 1. So that's how Parfait got the copy of the key. Then Hildyr cursed him for betraying her. I do not know how you two know each other, but it is fairly obvious to me that he is loyal to you and cares about you. He was the type of person to express that loyalty plainly, so I can tell. I do not know why the king decided to comment on such a thing, but my cheeks are suddenly warm. You care for him. Do I? He is a good man. How do we even get to this conversation? Dang, Gennaro! Being an OG, and now you're talking about your daughter's love interest, even though you don't remember your daughter. Classic dad. Wow. The two of us are still walking when the king suddenly stops and I nearly bump into him. Ah, here we are. That should bring us into the passage that leads us into the gardens. I follow his gaze to a rusty door. He slowly approaches the door. Stay close to me. I nod at him. Now I'm thinking of they walk up to the gate, then go up to the garden, then try to go to the other gate to dodge all the guards. They walk up to the door. They walk up to the they're trying to get to the margin. They're going up to the margin. They're finding the margin. Now they're getting the margin. I'm sorry. It's just begging me to do that. But anyway, he turns the knob and pulls open the door. 11 p.m. Why am I not surprised? He walked up to the margin. Dun, dun, dun. That's... The king and I can only gape at the sight in front of us. It is the last thing we expect to see behind the door. Mother? Chapter 7, The Witch and the Crystal. Dang! Oh, man! I feel that I cannot trust my eyes, because it is indeed Mother standing before us. She looks the same as when I last saw her. Like, she's just been sleeping all this time. What is Hildyr doing here? Is that the Crystallum Tenebrarum? She looks like she's been trapped inside the crystal, but how? No. She passed on 4 years ago. This is impossible. A lovely surprise, isn't it? The king immediately moves to stand in front of me. Sir Mithras saunters towards us with a wide smile on his face, looking unperturbed. Isn't she exquisite? Even in slumber, she is still so beautiful. What is the meaning of this, Mithras? Her Mithras does not answer. The king reaches for his knife and frowns. What exactly are you and Alcaster planning? I am offended that you are associating the two of us. My goals are different from Alcaster's. My only wish is to see my queen again. Alcaster is the one who is after your throne. What are you going to do with Mother? I plan to revive her. What? I stare at Sir Mithros, shocked. Revive Mother? Is it even possible to bring back the dead? She is still alive, dear princess. My queen is only sleeping. Her link to the Tenebrarum has allowed her to survive all these years. She infused the last of her power with the crystal and merged with it. Which would explain why she died so easily in the last story, so... Basically the Darth Vader thing. Palpatine dies, he died too. Well, at least until we know what we know now. But anyway. She was wise, yet even as its light grows dimmer, so too does the light of her life come close to being extinguished. Once you have fully accepted your role as the new bearer of the Crystallum Tenebrarum, her link with it will be severed, and she will die. That's why I need you, princess. I need your powers to bring her back to life. What? On your 18th birthday, you will inherit the crystal's powers, and with that power you will revive my queen. Isn't that what you always wanted? To have your beloved mother back? It is true that I've always wished for Mother to come back. But Laura and Parfait told me the truth, and now? That is the last thing I want. What if Mother ruins the kingdom once again? I will not let that happen. I will not let my kingdom fall into darkness again. The king charges towards Sir Mithros with a knife in his hand. Dude! Did I realize? Magic user! But Sir Mithros easily sends him flying backward with the flick of his wrist in a magic spell. The knife falls to the ground, just a few feet from where I stand. Your Majesty! I'm about to run to him when Varg steps out of the darkness of the room and points the sword at the king's throat. Don't move, princess. Otherwise my hand might slip. I freeze in my spot. Has he been there this whole time? Now, princess, you have an important decision to make. Help me revive the queen and save the king, or run away and he dies. My life is nothing compared to the lives that would be lost if Hildyr was brought back. I'll gladly trade my life for any of the lives she would steal. Foolish king. You cannot gamble with your life when it's no longer in your hands. Sir Mithros growls at the king before facing me once again. He flashes a crooked smile. How about it, princess? It's getting hard now! Cried. You know what? I hate leaving it this in suspense, but you know what? This is actually a good space to leave off of, because we made so much progress, and so far, I feel... Well, I'm just giving a minor estimate, but I feel about 60% sure that I'm on the good ending track. 60% sure. The one part that I'm absolutely not sure about is the bedroom part, revealing my cards too early. But the one thing I was sure about was the vial. The vial was the one I'm absolutely sure about. Because you know I was going to find them sooner or later, so I think it was better that we revealed ourselves than waiting for him to find us, because it would have looked worse if he found us. But anyway, yeah. So I'm going to end it right here. This is a lot of fun. I'm going to continue this route tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. But it's basically anime betrayal. Like, this chapter is basically anime betrayals. Well, the last chapter was anime betrayals. This chapter is like the reason why the anime betrayals happened. But anyway, here's all my social media in case you want to check out all my other stuff. I also have a donation page. I've got Twitter, Discord, got YouTube, DJMK Off the Air, where I live stream. I was a live stream on Mixler. I started back up again. It's a lot of fun. And I have a blog, mahokunoichi.blogspot.com, which I occasionally update. In terms of other stuff, I have a Fiverr shop. I did a special Friday the 13th circle last week if you want to check it out. I have a special discount on my Fiverr shop. It's the link is in the description of my YouTube page. If you use the code Freya before this Friday comes up, you will get a 50% discount, and I will throw in some runes and maybe some extra oracle cards for good measure as a way of clarification. So also I'll be at Odu Day's 45th anniversary in June, because more weather and outdoors means good. And of course the Renaissance Fair. Might do the Philadelphia one as well, but for now the one that I can guarantee I'll be attending is the Pennsylvania one in Mannheim. But anyway, until then, thank you so much. See you next time. And of course, may your heart be your guiding key.